second, you know?
Okay. And it's the same thing with one of the one stuff.
In bifocals, I can't see the screen with my glasses on. I can't see the audio.
Yeah, the children first started becoming 15, 25, 50, 20, 2,000 trying to get out of there. Now, over on Joella down in Cleveland, you got a light train. Maybe no train. And then if you go on St. Vincent, going down the street up there, they got a train. Right before you get to 7.
See, I'm in the street, so really, I'm working for a bunch.
Yeah.
That intersection is not the same. And I'm for it, but I'm also in that intersection. Okay. What we need to try to find out. So the parents should do this stuff. Yeah. And we're running a red light or a stop sign. So when that happens,
Yeah, I got you.
but I'm also
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but also
Hey, sir, man, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Is Kelly here too?
I can afford it with my new book.
I've been back at that
What's your bill? So first name?
You know, now when you cross the ditch, this is it.
All right, thank you.
And when you go back over, there's the path.
You can't see it from here. You have to stay in Yes, yes, sir.
That's on the path.
Yes.
They on the city wall.
Yeah.
You know the path. You know it.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's good to read your email. You learn a lot.
He on everything.
Of course, hey, always. Gotta leave in front.
So I'm good. Good. Thank you. My wife ain't called me and told me to be in
Did you get this one?
Chairman, I have a special. I don't know who else is on the
I'm going to make sure we remedy that. Why should I have to suffer alone? When are we doing that again? That was so much fun.
I'm gonna get some tackling powder.
Yeah. You just, well, yeah. But, no, Jerry just needs to get a tattoo.
I just thought we had been more than this today, though. Oh. You all right? Gotcha. Good. She got some more things up there. She's going to get around. Try to bring
I'm going to do my best to stay quiet. It's him. I'm not in trouble. troublemaker.
Nobody pursues me that so much. Not once in my life.
Well, Justin's probably a first song for everybody. I mean, I thought I was going to be quiet the first meeting. I thought I was going to be quiet the second meeting. I'm going to just... Thanks, Emily.
The meeting of the Shreveport City Council is now being called to order. We will have an invocation by Councilman Fleury, and we will have Councilman Green to lead us in the pledge. Stand, please.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we come to you today with thankful hearts. As we come to do the people's business today, God, I pray that we'll have wisdom and knowledge and compassion. But, oh God, give us mercy and grace, all of the things that we don't deserve, God, that you provide to us. Now I pray for the mayor and the administration. I pray for each police officer, fireman, all the public service people that go out daily to service the citizens of this great city. Now protect them, watch over them. We ask these things, forgiveness of our sins. For it is in Christ's holy name we ask. Amen.
Amen. Will you repeat the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Bradford.
Present.
Councilwoman Fuller.
Present.
Councilman Nicholson.
Present.
Councilman Butcher.
Present.
Councilman Fleury.
Present.
Councilman Green.
here.
And Councilman Rowland.
Here. I did want to apologize. First, I see several pastors out in the audience, and I should have called one of you all up to come and give us a word of prayer, and I apologize for that. I just looked out and saw three of my good friends, so I apologize about that. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, for the minutes of the administrative conference on the 7th, the council meeting on the 8th, and also the special meeting that was on the 8th also. Please vote. Been moved by Councilman
Second.
Green and
Yes,
second by Councilman Butcher. I'm sorry. Please vote. Does any council member have a recognition distinguished guest at this time? I did have one, Miss Leslie Quinn. If she's out, yes, ma'am. Come up to the front, please. Ms. Quinn is the Special Projects Director for Congressman Mike Green. State
Mike
your name
Johnson.
and your address, please.
Right.
Mike Johnson, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for letting me speak with you today and come and present myself on behalf of Congressman Mike Johnson. I bring you greetings from him. He is in Washington, D.C. But I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Leslie Quinn. I'm the Constituent Services and Special Projects Director for the Congressman. I'm located in the Shreveport-Bossier office, and I just wanted to introduce myself to all the new folks. I've worked and met with a number of you over the last couple of years, but I wanted to make sure that the new folks could put a face to the name and know that you can call on me at any time. I'm sort of the boots on the ground for the congressman here in the district. I did want to call your attention to a handout that I put at each of your places that lists the services from our office that are available to our constituents and also your constituents. You may have constituents that contact you that are you know of that have issues with a federal agency such as Social Security or VA or IRS, any federal agency, and I wanted to let you know that we stand ready to assist them, and I gave you my contact information that you can let them know and contact us and let us know that we need to reach out to them. I also mentioned that there's some other services on there that we provide. I've also met with the mayor to let him know about things that our office can assist with for the city when he's dealing with federal agencies like grant issues and things like that. And of course, you know, you can call me or any of the ones from any of our offices. All of that contact information is on that handout. The only change I want to call your attention to is that we changed offices in DC a couple of weeks ago, so the new office number is 418. These are old handouts that we're in the process of updating. I also wanted to mention that moving forward, Congressman Johnson stands ready to assist the city of Shreveport and the Shreveport City Council in any area that you would need help with. He will be again on the Judiciary Committee, as well as chairman of the Republican Study Committee and the Civility Caucus, which there's a copy of that on the back of your handout. All of these are areas that he will have an opportunity to affect policy on the national level, which was good for our district as well. The civility pledge that is on the back is something the congressman wrote and went and asked all of the other congressmen to sign. He's gotten over 120 other people to sign, and basically it just says that we ought to be able to debate issues in a civil manner and treat everybody with respect, and he's continuing to get people to sign on for that. And the outgrowth of that was the formation of the Civility Caucus, which he now chairs with Congressman Christ from Florida. I wanted to just leave, like I said, I left my card. All the contact information is there, and just feel free to call me. Like I said, I'm in the area. My office is here, so I'm always ready to be a go-between or to facilitate any assistance that you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn. Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to yield to Councilman Green at this time.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to recognize all of the pastors that's with us, if they would stand. Pastor Kimball, Pastor Terrence Tremell, Pastor Timothy Jones, and Pastor Calvin Austin. If there are any more, I didn't see them. I'd like to just say welcome and God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm very excited to present my guest today. I was invited to a screening, trailer of a reality show that is going to be coming and showing and filming here in Shreveport. The screen trailer presentation was presented to some guests on last Monday. We was treated to a very nice dinner at Proud Mary's, where the screening is taking place. And I invited them because I wanted you to see this, what's going to be featuring from Shreveport in the future. So this time I'm going to ask my guest, the distinguished creative producer of Panorama on the Red, Mr. Christopher Perman, and the chef, executive chef of Proud Mary's, the illustrious Panorama Summers, to come. And Chris, however way you want to proceed, but I want everybody to see this.
Hello, everybody. Everybody doing good? All right. This is my first time doing this.
Me too.
Okay.
Mine too.
That's right. So we hope we get it right. Payne and I go back about 2 years. Give you a little background on Facebook. And I was uploading shows to Roku channel, and I had said that I see you do a lot of great work in Shreveport. What are you doing? Send me some content to be able to upload. She didn't have any, and she didn't have a clue as to how to do that. So I said, well, I'll fly into Shreveport, and I'll create a show for you. We did that. Let me give you a little preview of it. Hope you can hear it. Alrighty. See? Look at that. We need somebody with the tech here, please. Get it to play. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, this is pretty much the crux of the damn show. I mean, this is her fishing outfit or crabbing. I don't know what this.
Well, I'm going out to look at some peppers in the garden. I don't know where she's going to go. I am the culture. I am the brand.
Yeah, when you pick it, put it up, dingo.
I never. No, you're right. You never will either in this.
All right, y'all. This is the team. This is Pandorina and Michelle.
Bam! Whatever the cuisine is around the state of Louisiana in the 64 parishes, we're going to make sure it is the best, the freshest, the most delicious. And then we're going to bring it back to Proud Mary 360 Grill for patrons, our guests, as I like to call them, who are there so that they can taste the fare and decide if it goes on the menu. Oh, yeah. What do you mean? Where you came from?
Show is this?
I can't have all this in my kitchen.
This is a romper.
This is a little too much.
This is a little romper.
It's a romper.
Oh my God.
No, we having roux, not romper.
Part is going to give you an idea of what this show is about for the voiceover Pandorina. That's the scissor roll to be the commercial that would be done.
I'm Pandorina, Chef Pan Tomos, the executive chef at Proud Mary 360, located right under the bridge in the Red River Entertainment District of Shreveport, Louisiana, a bridge that connects Shreveport and Bossier City. I'm about to embark on a flavorful journey, one I've been dreaming about all of my life. I'm inviting you to come along. My ancestral roots begin in South Louisiana. I am a product of Creoles of color with strong influences from the Haitian slave trade, French Creole merging bloodlines from the bayous of Louisiana. Bred at the hands and feet of generations of family cooks, professional chefs, caterers, restaurant operators, and food industry entrepreneurs, all about Louisiana cooking. You know, we're a cuisine that's a blend of Spanish, French-Canadian, and strong African influences. We're Creole, Cajun, and Native American.
I never.
No, you're right. You never will either in this. I'm traveling the state with my friend, another Louisiana homegrown, or should I say city girl, businesswoman, TV host, news broadcaster, Michelle White Lafitte. Some might say we're an odd couple yet, but I say we go together like night and day, and we're gonna really have some fun, Shay. We're going to try some new recipes, some new twist on old recipes.
Hey, girl, good to see you. Thanks for having me out here.
Meet some new friends and share their stories. From the top of the state, where the mighty Red River flows from Texas and Arkansas, and we're going to work our way through this great state just as the river does, winding our way down to south where the river goes into the Gulf. Fascinating encounters in this melting pot of cultures. I'm going to be inspired by their recipes, create a few new ones of my own, and bring it all back to Proud Mary 360. Introducing the dishes to the patrons and friends to get a thumbs up or maybe a thumbs down on how it is plated and certainly how it tastes, Shay.
You gonna catch more than Bert?
And you're gonna fry your battery.
Where Laverne and Shirley meets Anthony Bourdain, Hell's Kitchen meets me, Pandorina, on the red. We'll do some cooking and some tasting and some cutting up too, baby. Exploits that you have to see to believe. With the help from my friends, you're about to get some Louisiana good times rolling. I've joined up with this wonderful team to bring together some of the most delectable foods, and just so you know, I'm going to add my special touch to them, Shad. My cast of characters are Christopher B. Pierman, creator, producer, and director. Big Chad, bar manager. Miles, the Prince of Proud Mary. Stanley, restaurant visionary. My co-star, Michelle, marketing PR guru. Nimatulai, my African muse. And me, Pandorina. My friends and I are going to take you on a fabulous journey. We'll share traditions of Louisiana food, its influences, variety, culture, and spice, and its savories and sweets, my baby. You know, there's a Cajun Creole French expression we have in Louisiana. The only place Creole Cajun French is actually spoken. You've probably heard the saying before, Shad, even if you've never been to Louisiana. It's called Liaisez les beaux temps rouler, and it means let the good times roll. So let's roll. I'm going to bring you along this journey here in Louisiana. I'm your tour guide of this culinary adventure. I'm Pandorina on the radio. C'est bon.
Thank you. So, like I was saying, we'd like to go from the top of Louisiana to the bottom to find unique people, stories, and recipes to bring back here to Shreveport. We're on the Roku channel, which is the 37 million we can be in front of every month to let them know how beautiful Shreveport is. And that's my story.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think everybody was impressed.
Councilman Green?
Let me ask Michelle White, the marketing director of
Well,
360.
Mr. Mayor.
Tell us a little bit about this exciting feature as well as any other, because we, the city of Shreveport, help provide funding to for primary along and they're in the Red River Entertainment District.
Yes, sir.
Took off. Tell us what's happening and how you feel this would be a very asset to what we're doing down there.
Well, first I want to say thank you to the many people who have come already to Proud Mary 360 Grill, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the City of Shreveport, the Office of Community Development, and all those who support us. As you know right now, it is a struggle. It really is for downtown businesses, not limited to Proud Mary 360 Grill. Under the bridge, as we call it, the district, under the bridge, it is kind of painful for us. We're family, though. We're family. And I believe with this project, we can shed light on Shreveport in a positive way, in a positive manner, and to our fellow businesses under the bridge. This project had come to me via Pandorina, and then she put me on the phone with Christopher B. Pierman, our director, who had this idea. I said, okay. I brought it to Miles Lester, our CEO and general manager, and he was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. And I tell you, it has been fun. We have met so many people, people from all over the world. We've had people in there from Britain, Ireland, everywhere, people who go to the boats. And it has been a delight, and we want to continue. We really, really do. We want to continue, and this is a major thing to go before millions and millions of people around the globe. And I hope that we can get any support that we can garner, that we can collect, would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much, and we
Thank
certainly
you.
going to continue to support you. Now, we was in a discussion several months ago. I was privy to be a part of that discussion with some representative of a television station, KMSS, about bringing, if we can sort of bring some entertainment, they would start doing a feature down there monthly. Is that
Oh, yeah, a cooking piece with Pandorina on the air on KMSS. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyway,
that is in the works.
That's in the works.
Yes.
Well, we're trying to bring a lot more traffic through there, and we're going to continue to support you and work with you on that.
And
Yes,
we
sir,
are
Mr.
mighty grateful.
I'd like to say that, it's a wonder.
Please come to the mic.
It's a wonder what a hit show can do. And I want to include all the other businesses that are in the Red District, all of those stores where they will film in each one of those businesses.
Absolutely.
So that tourism would be there. So if you're looking at a show and they come, you've got excitement with the casinos, the other business, sort of like Cheers. It's like a neighborhood thing.
Sure.
So when people come, they'll be able to, it will build up the other businesses. My whole intention was to build it up economically there.
Sure.
Where everybody, it's a win-win for everybody.
Fantastic.
And Lieutenant,
Billy Nungesser, he is a big supporter of this.
Okay, it's the lieutenant
He's
governor.
been,
he
a couple
came
of
down,
times.
he loves, he said, whatever you need. And I just think it can be a great thing for Shreveport. But most importantly, too, we have a 501c3 with Reverend Trammell, where we're going to be giving scholarships. Southern University, Booker T. Washington. We're going to be able to have those students be able to come and be a part of the production so they can get hands-on training, whether it's with a director or producer or gaffer or whatever the case may be, and to be able to create more projects here. So then when these kids can graduate, they then can come and they'll have a job here as opposed to moving away. I just thought that was a good idea.
Well, that's the
Yes,
goal.
and that 501c3 services the homeless community, children who
Absolutely.
are home and food insecure.
Fantastic.
And we want to thank Reverend Trammell for being.
Do we want to say, Reverend, you want to say a few words? You okay?
Come on up, please.
We have limited, but I think we got a few.
And you know,
more
our restaurant, I call it the People's Restaurant.
Okay.
They dictate, you dictate what we become, what we, to better our brand. Here's Pastor Trammell.
Okay. And I met you down at the feature. So tell us again what your role is going to be.
We're partnering with the production and to get a chance to give the children an opportunity, the students, Booker T, Southern, give them an opportunity in their media department to do some hands-on so that they can understand that there's more to doing this than just being in front of the camera. There's a lot going on behind, and there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of potential for employment.
Fantastic.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And this is about Shreveport, y'all.
Yes.
So let's be in support. So anybody else have
Completely
any
about
questions
Shreveport.
for anybody?
I'd just like to commend them for a great job. Also, while we were going through that, I'd just like to recognize our DA who came in, Mr. James Stewart, who's here with us today.
Let's see. Mr. Chairman, thank you, and thank you for coming down. Okay.
Mayor Perkins, you have any distinguished guest announcements at this time, sir?
Yes. So first, I want to, Chairman and council members, I want to thank you for coming out to support the funeral services of Officer Shateri Payne this weekend. Meant a lot to me, meant a lot to the men and women in blue, so thank you for being there. Next, I want to thank the staff, my staff and department heads. Can my department heads stand up really quick? For their contributions yesterday in Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day of Service. We cleaned up a couple blocks over in the Allendale neighborhood that is right now area is being supported by a $1 million community-based crime reduction grant. So thank you for helping us out yesterday. Thirdly, I want to acknowledge Mr. Quinn Eubanks, who's in the audience. He is our new Fair Share Coordinator for the City of Shreveport. Mr. Eubanks comes from the State Procurement Office, and he has extensive experience in DBE programming. He also has a JD from Southern University and a bachelor's from University of New Orleans. So thank you, Mr. Eubanks, for joining the team. Happy to have you. Lastly, at this time, I would like to have Kelly Wells, the Director of the Sports Commission, to come forward and talk about, give a brief overview of the Showtime boxing match that the City of Shreveport hosted a couple days ago.
Thank you, City Council. Welcome, Mayor Perkins. Glad to have you on board. And of course, I've got Stacy Brown. Just want to give an update on the Showbox event that was, I guess, 2 Fridays ago now at the Stageworks. And I didn't want to be up here by myself because, a lot of times I get credit for being up front and being a sports guy, but it was truly a team partnership. And so I want to thank the mayor. I'm not sure if Shelley Regal was able to make it down with SPAR, but just with the boxing event, when we're trying to find a venue, we just could not find a venue that worked. They're used to going to Vegas and all these other markets that have large meeting type facilities with the casinos. So, of course, with the movie industry and all that was involved with that, that was really our last resort. So, Shelley reached out and she was able to work with the legal, et cetera, and work with the folks at Louisiana Stageworks to bring that event in. So if you were not able to attend, it was a success. There was 2.5 hours of Showtime TV that was nationally broadcast on Showtime. Of course, Devin Haney announced, I know Mayor Perkins got to meet with him. I thought he wanted to get out there and spar with him a little bit, but I don't think Haney could have handled that.
Interested in that at all.
But, and I'm not I wasn't a boxing fan. That was actually the first time, but to me, it's not about the boxing. I just thought it was a really awesome event. We've got Chris Robinson here with the fire department. It truly was just a community effort to get that venue back in shape. It was kind of like the Miss USA timeline. We didn't have, but really from first or second week in November through the actual event on Friday, January the 11th. So to me, that's really, Stephen Covey wrote a book, Business at the Speed of Trust. And so really some of the best opportunities that we get a lot of times for a third-tier market are last minute. And so we really got to be able to jump on them and have organizations that can really make it work. So we appreciate that. It was a great event. In fact, to me, the best thing is when Showtime called the following week and said, we were very worried at first because this venue that you said y'all could really build up and make it what we had in Madison Square Gardens or what they had at the Staples Centers out in Los Angeles. I think if you were there, you would see that whether it was watching on TV or if you were actually there, we gave them an incredible experience as far as the lighting. Of course, the main event went 12 rounds, and so they do want to come back. And, sometimes you see us step in and really help out, and then when Devin Haney, his next fight will be a major fight, and so we were like, why not Shreveport for the big one? A lot of times they move on to New Orleans or New York, and again, I would put Shreveport up against, any other city in the country when it comes to really truly being the sportsman's paradise. So I just want to recognize, of course, Stacey Brown, the president, the lieutenant governor helped out, Chief Robinson was out there just, trying to make sure that everything worked with that venue. So, it's already opened up a couple more opportunities. We've got a group that just flew in from New York today that are looking at bringing a big basketball event in April. So again, these successes, whether you're a boxing fan or not, it's about the economic impact. And of course, an event like this, it also has that quality of life component that allows for, folks to be able to come out. And, I guess I'll close with this. I thought it was the most diverse event that I'd been to in a while. And what I mean by that is, it was black, white, Hispanic, rich, poor, and just really coming together. And it was fun seeing the stress, actually it was kind of a stress reliever to see them be up on the, in the ring, just knocking it out, there at our enjoyment. So I thought it was a really good event, but there were just dozens of partners. Amber Bishop, who wanted to be her child, she's in the emergency room right now with her child working on something, or else she would have been there because she really deserves the most credit for signing on the dotted line and really working hard, to make sure that everything worked out. So thank you.
Also, can Robert Superman Blunt stand up as well, who's a part of it? Yeah, he's right here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, but to Kelly, also the Proud Mary's crew, thank you for portraying Shreveport in a positive light throughout this country. I know Showtime had viewers everywhere, Roku channel, like you said, millions of viewers. So thank you both for showing Shreveport in a very positive light. It's efforts that we can absolutely get behind, so thank you for that.
Sure. And the last just was Superman, and again, some of the best leads, and I say this publicly because some of the best leads we get for sporting events come from the community. So it was actually Lindora Baker, who was a commissioner. She was down at a Baptist convention, and she heard that they were looking for a venue, so she said, why not Shreveport? And she called Robert Superman Blunt, who does the Fit for Life. Robert called me, I called Amber, and so next thing we knew, we were moving forward. So that's how a lot of these big events take place. Okay. So, thanks.
Sure.
Councilman Bradford.
Kelly, listen, I can't say enough. It was a super awesome night. I mean, the cards, the fights, when we had the press conference several weeks ago, and we saw that facility, I didn't think it was possible that it could be transformed into what it was. I mean, in the whole night, the entertainment, the hospitality that was given, the images that was flashing through Showtime through the country and in Africa. I had a friend in New York who called and said he didn't believe that was Shreveport. And I hope there would be, well, let me ask you this before we go there. What do you feel the attendance was? Do you have any numbers yet?
1752. And again, when we first started looking at it, we really didn't know till we had everything set up, because that was the first time that venue had been open since about 2005, except for the movie and film. And so Chief Robinson let us know maybe 3 or 4 days before, once we got the seating and everything set up so that we could seat, the capacity was 1,800. So we were about 1752.
And that number was acceptable from the promoters?
For a first-time event, you know, again, with the public sponsorship support was extremely helpful. Again, y'all doing the in-kind to help get the venue in shape, and that's where I really try to be protective of public funds for what we do this. But again, the private support was there as far as, you know, my main message was, you know, if you want to help out, make sure and buy a ticket to the event and attend the event. So we got the capacity. We didn't quite get the private sponsorships we needed, but what it did do was Amber is, you know, from, correct me if I'm wrong, Superman, the only female boxing promoter in the country, or maybe one of two. What it allowed her to do was really be spotlighted, and she's already going out to Vegas next month. What we're hoping to do is to make a better model and have a little bit more time, and because, you know, y'all were able to step up and really make it happen this time. We've got to make sure that the future events, and she's been real sustainable with her local regional MMA fights and boxing events, but with this event, without the public support we got, it would not have been as good as it could have been.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it was capacity. I'm hoping that we can continue to utilize that facility. I mean, to repurpose it. It was an excellent venue for that. And you mentioned there's some other opportunities that we can go back in there and do some things. And I see great potential for that. And plus, the economic impact I thought was tremendous. I mean, even though our casinos wasn't a part of it, but I saw a lot of spillover after the fight over into the casino. So whenever we can bring that many people downtown, it's always a positive thing. So thank you for the efforts. It was a super awesome night for all of us.
Well, thank y'all for saying yes, and just everybody lend support in different ways.
Just let us know when something we can do, because again, we want to utilize our facilities and not let them just sit vacant. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That it? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. But thank you, and Stacy, for what you all do.
Thank you, Chairman Bowman, City Council, Mayor Perkins.
Stacy, thank you. All right. Is that it, Mayor?
Yeah, that's all from me.
Okay. Does anyone have any concerns relative to property standards before Mr. Green makes his way down? I don't think so. Nobody?
Mr. Green, I'll just say you and I talked off the record about an abandoned ATM enclosure at Line in Fairmont. I did receive a concerned constituents communication about that, and I would appreciate your looking at that.
And I'll add, thank you for being so responsive to the issues in my district. I really appreciate it. It's making me look kind of good. People really appreciate you getting back to them so quickly.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Green. Appreciate what you do.
Thanks, Steve.
Mr. Clark? Mr. Alan Clark, there you go. Master Plan Committee report.
Good afternoon, Council. Just a quick update on the Master Plan Subcommittee. As you know, Chairman Bowman, we requested from all the chairs of the council, the MPC, and the Parish Commission to appoint representatives to the Master Plan Subcommittee. We're receiving those appointments now. Hopefully, your staff will forward that information on to us. We're not quite aware of who the appointees are from the City Council. And once we get all of that information gathered, we are proposing a meeting in mid-February, or at the very latest, 1st of March. And then we will be able to come back at each council meeting and provide you with updates on what we're doing.
Let me make sure I think we have it. Well, I know we have it, so let me make sure we get that to you, because Councilwoman
Bad
Fuller,
news for you.
Councilwoman Fuller and Councilman Bradford.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
You got Fuller, Bradford, and Fleury. If I'm not mistaken, I thought it was one more, but I know Fuller, Bradford, and Fleury definitely
Okay.
are. Okay.
If your staff would just forward that information to either me or Adam Bailey, we'll get all the information together and start contacting those members, alerting them when the first meeting is.
Okay, get that to you ASAP. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We should have all got our budget to actual financial report. And
Mr. Chairman, the December report that you all receive will be the actual audit for 2018.
Okay.
So the next monthly report you'll get is in the second meeting in in February.
February.
Yeah.
All right. Discussion on that. No public hearing. Mr. Thompson, is there any legislation to be added today?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Well, let's continue with the request to speak.
Mr. Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, apartment M110, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. Good to see you. I still think that this is going to be a great idea, just whenever they're absolutely ready and okay to get it going. The engineer and the director really need to start the process ASAP, or just whenever they can get around to getting it underway. I really don't know when the date will be that they get that underway. I'm looking forward to it, to being reopened again. A lot of people are ready, as well as I am. Reopening the vehicles to access Lake Commerce Street and to Side-Port, reopening vehicles access to cross over the gates to the Lake Street Railroad grading crossings in East Fannin and Commerce, Milam and Commerce, and East Crockett and Commerce would really be a great thing to do. Also, the crossbuck signs that I mentioned before really should be removed so that crossing gates can be put up in their proper place. And I've got a diagram I'd like to show. I think if you might have seen this before, even if it lights up, I hope it does. Anyway, the thing is that it has been long overdue and long overlooked. There's been enough time to get this done. So if you could, just please vote yes if you have the opportunity today. I ask you, the council, to please vote yes. It means a lot to me and a lot to other people who would like to really see it going. It's not lighting up.
It went back to take care of it now.
I don't know why it won't light up. Okay, good. Because this is what I want everyone to see, is that these right here and these on the places I've got, East Fannin, East Milam, and East Crockett, they need to have crossing gates. And then there's a train coming through. A goose says, honk yourself. Well, of course, that's probably not going to happen, but please just, if you get a chance today, I'd like to see the downtown once again reopened. And I know there's been a few complications, but let's try to get this done. And there won't be any goose out there.
Thank you, Mr. Mears.
Councilwoman.
Mr. Mears, until February 12th, okay? February 12th.
All right.
Mr. Rolando Robledo.
Hello.
Hello, sir. If you could state your name and address.
Rolando Robledo.
And your address?
2421 Midway, Shreveport, Louisiana.
And I understand you'd like to speak about rock crushing.
Yes, sir. We still got that going on across the street from my driveway. I measured it yesterday, and I'm 40 feet away from that.
I will say I'm glad you're here because this is an agenda item that I had some question about. How far is this rock crushing operation from your home?
40 feet.
40 feet?
40 feet.
How much noise does it make?
A lot. And when I'm sitting there watching TV and I've got this noise, I've got dust in my yard, I've got dust in the house, my voice has never been scratchy, it's scratchy now. And I've gone to get some x-rays for my lungs and my body to see what's going on with me. I had a roommate that caught COPD while this was going on before, and she died. And then a neighbor 2 doors down died from COPD and breathing this dust.
How long has this been going on?
5 years.
That was the original, and now this is a.
I closed the first time, the first customer, the first person that was there, I closed them down. It took me a long time, but I got them out of there. And now we've got a new man. He sold it to this man, didn't tell him nothing about me. Now this man doesn't like me and what I'm doing. Oh.
Well, I can only speak for myself, sir, but I will say that I will not approve or vote to approve a rock crushing facility 40 feet from your house, that I would not vote to approve 40 feet from my own house. So I
Yes.
appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair. Also, on yesterday, I went out and it is a bad situation. Mr. Roldo had invited me to come and went out on yesterday, and it's, I mean, it's terrible. Of course, all of the dust that comes up from it and all of the noise with all of the residents, it is not pleasant.
And yours is one of many homes that is near this rock crushing facility?
Yes, sir. It's commercial property, and I understand that. But for them, for these people to be there in my front yard doing this, it's from the time they get there in the morning to the time they leave, it's noisy. And even after they're gone, like last Friday, Saturday, we had them 25, 30 mile an hour wind. Well, it was blowing from the north straight to the south, and I'm on the south side of Midway. So, I mean, God knows how much I breathed that weekend, last weekend, because that wind was really, really hard.
Well, I do appreciate your calling this to our attention. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Strand, Karen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is Mr. Green's throat scratchy since he went out there?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. Ms. Strand?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for clarification, this appeal for the rock crushing, it does appear on the agenda, but the clerk of council was required to put it on the agenda, but it will not be actually taken up by the council until February 12th.
February 12th, right?
Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
sir.
Councilman Green?
I'd also told Mr. Rado that we wouldn't look at it until the 12th, but he asked me if it was okay for him to come, and I
Well, it's on the-
told him
that's
sure.
fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Pastor Timothy Jones.
Thank you so very much to our Honorable Mayor and to all of the members of the council, and especially my councilman, Pastor Coach Green. Thank you so much for affording us this opportunity to speak to the need for a traffic light at the corner of St. Vincent Avenue and 84th Street. For a number of years, that corner has been very dangerous. It seems to be, to us, to be an accident there at least once a month. There have even been fatalities at that corner. Children even catch the bus at that corner. There are blind spots there. There are homes that were built long before St. Vincent was paved, or even before St. Vincent came that way, which would help, in fact, create blind spots. I was hoping that some of our neighbors would be here. There was a story in the news last week that really misrepresented a number of facts. The neighbors are on board there. In fact, this is really not so much about our church. A group of people from the Cedar Grove Neighborhood Association and some lovely ladies there have been fighting for a light at that corner for a very long time. They asked us if our church would support it, and in fact we are supporting a light there. Some of our neighbors were led to believe that it was the church requesting a light right in front of our church to alleviate traffic as we are moving in and out of worship. That is definitely not the case. The light would be a block and a half from where our church is. We're just wanting to be great neighbors, and we want our community to be safe for everybody who travels that direction. In fact, there are a number of people in our church that avoid that intersection at all costs. In fact, my wife is one of them, and we'd love to have a light there for the safety of our people. Somebody said, well, there were neighbors who were concerned about how long that might add to their commute. And I said, well, you may lose a minute or so, but there are families that have lost loved ones right there at that corner. And I believe a light would be worth it when we think about the safety and the lives that might be saved. So thank you so much. I see that it's on the agenda, and perhaps there's going to be a study, but I ask your consideration. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Chris Wilder.
Good afternoon, Council. Mayor. My name is Chris Wilder. I live at 6214 South Windermere Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana. I am currently the superintendent of solid waste, and I'm here to speak on the garbage fee that's on the agenda. I'm here to represent the guys who work for me, the operators and the collectors who can't be here today. As a citizen, I guess I would be here telling you, don't pass this fee because I don't want to pay it. But being in solid waste for 14 years, a part of Public Works, and looking at what these guys do, I'm here to tell you that we need to pass it. This week we started off in a holiday week. We're already behind. We don't have enough guys to put out there. We're hoping that we finish and hoping that we don't start to get the calls. As you know, Christmas, New Year's, these guys work 7 days a week, trying to get caught up. On a normal week, we work 6 days a week, every week, just to make it. These guys are doing stuff that nobody else want to do. The reason that we are doing this is because the pay is low. We can't fund them, we can't hire them. Our job closed Friday at 12 noon. We're waiting for Human Resources to give us the list to tell us how many people we can hire. At best, we'll get about 15 to 16 people on that list. When we interview them, once they sit down, we talk to them and tell them what the job entails, tell them how much they make. We might hire about 2 or 3 guys. We can't keep up. These guys at 6:45 in the morning, they're clocking in, but most people still sleep. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 5:30, they're coming in. They don't complain. You know, the only thing they complain about is the fact that normally people have to work 40 hours a week, and they get, you know, they can take care of their families. These guys work 50, 60 hours a week, and that's the only thing that they can do to make sure that they can take care of their family and have a decent pay. They don't want to have to work the overtime. They want to be able to work and work regular hours and be able to take care of the city, but be able to take care of their families. Overtime is not guaranteed, so when you start depending on overtime to make it and take care of your family, it's not a good thing. So I'm asking you, when you start looking, considering this fee, think about the fact that if you had to do this, if you had to depend on overtime, if you had to work from sun up to sundown, and then nobody want to do it. The only time people think about these guys, these women and men when they're out there, is when there's a missed call or when you want to pick up your trash. During the holidays, we were the biggest thing out there, you know, because people's trash was left on the street. Everybody want to know, when are we going to pick it up? When people are putting out leaves and bags of limbs, they want to know, when are we going to get it? But now they talk about a garbage fee, everybody want to say, shouldn't pay that, we pay taxes. But I'm here just to ask you to consider my guys, consider what they go through. When it's raining, when it's cold, when it's hot, they're working. So I really appreciate it if you would give them an opportunity and really consider this and from all aspects. I appreciate your time.
Mr. Wilder, 1 second, Mr. Wilder. Mr. Wilder, hold on. Mr. Wilder, come back to the podium, please.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
We had Councilman Fleury.
Mr. Superintendent Wilder.
Yes, sir.
I heard you loud and clear, but the question to you is, didn't you prepare the budget of this Public Works for the 2019?
I was involved in it, yes, sir.
Sir?
I was involved in it, yes, sir.
You were involved heavily in it, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And wouldn't you agree that we have more revenue in that budget than we do have expenses?
In different areas.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Wilder, I just want to thank you for being here to represent your men. I know how hard they work. I'm concerned about the fact that they are paid as little as they are, and I know that they appreciate you standing up to speak for them.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Bradford.
no question that the men and the women of the sanitation department is underpaid and unappreciated. It's only when trash don't get picked up do we appreciate them that we need that service. I'm not at all against raising the wage of our sanitation workers. I even said that I would be willing to double that $18 if I had to pay it. But I don't think all citizens are equal, and that to give a blanket fee, I think, would be unfair. But I think there are room that we're going to discuss later when this come up, some alternative things that we can do. But let me ask you this: how many employees are in your department?
If you look at the operators, we authorized 64. We actually have 38.
When you refer to operators, you're talking about?
I'm talking about drivers.
Drivers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what's the average wage of the drivers?
The starting pay is at $12.60 an hour.
$12.60 for
a driver.
And what's the requirements for a driver?
The requirement is you got to have a Class A or either Class B CDL.
Okay. And do you know if we would compare that to the average of other areas of who require that same requirement? Are that salary compatible?
I think they've done a couple of surveys, and ours is a little lower. But most of our guys who've left, they've left for most of the jobs in the oil fields or in the other cities, making at least $15 to $18 an hour.
So the scale, well, not the scale, the area, say up to how many could be there?
We can have 64.
How many do you currently have?
38.
You have 38.
Yes, sir.
How many laborers do you have?
We have an authorized 45.
45.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you also have those that are from agencies, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How many from agencies?
It depends on how many we get and what goes on in proper daily.
Oh, it's not a daily.
Yes, so we do daily. If we don't, well, sometimes weekly. If we don't get enough, we use a temp agency where we bring in laborers. We don't bring in drivers though. Just
you don't bring in
laborers.
drivers. Okay.
No, sir.
So on an average day, or just use an average week, how many temp laborers would you need?
We could use about 15.
15?
Yes, sir.
15 average. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you're not responsible for their salary?
It comes out of our budget also.
Come out of your budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have to pay them.
Okay. And what is the average pay for your laborers?
Remember when we pay the temp agency, we don't pay along.
No, not the temp agency. I'm just talking about your.
Oh, our laborers, they start off at $10.60 an hour.
$10.60.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. And I think we will be again discussing this for a couple of weeks, and I hope we can come up with a remedy to help you. Okay.
Appreciate the consideration, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Back to Councilman Bucci.
Mr. Wilder, thank you. I want to. This has kind of been a hot button topic, I'm sure you know, for the last week or so. I've received probably anywhere in the range of 100 to 120 emails and several phone calls, and all those phone calls, everyone says, and I will echo this, that I appreciate the job that your people do, and I appreciate them being out there in the rain and working the hours that they do. I had actually written down the same exact thing that Mr. Bradford just asked you. I guess I'd go a little bit further and just ask one other question. What is and this may be a mayor or a Ms. Fields question, but what is the exact budget for solid waste? What are we looking at? Is that can you break it down for what they're doing for payroll?
Between solid waste, landfill, and bulk collections, and I just pulled up the number, we're looking at $15.2 million in direct costs for the total of those three budgets.
And that includes our landfill as well?
Correct.
Okay. I'd asked the clerk of the council today, I was kind of looking back and looking at a few things. There's some ordinances at the landfill that I'm not quite sure in the past administration, and Mayor, you and I talked about this, that have been followed correctly. And I believe that there's some legal aspects of that I'm going to ask Ms. Strand to look into, as well as the clerk of the council, that may generate some additional revenue for solid waste, and I'm hoping we can. I just want to assure everybody, and I'm going to say this for everybody in the audience, that I will be voting to push this forward for the next 2 weeks for discussion. But we have a lot of discussion to have, and the mayor has been extremely open and extremely transparent to me. We've met, we've spoken, we've emailed back and forth. I believe that there is a way to get this done, and I will be always fighting for the employees of Shreveport that serve us. So I just wanted to tell you that, Mr. Wilder. I appreciate it. I would love to know that number, though, and maybe the administration can get it for me. What we're spending to, who do y'all use for your temp service? Who is that?
We use a couple of, right now we use Salinas and Command Center.
I'd love to know what their bill has been over the last year, where we can kind of see apples to apples on that and see if we're actually spending more than if we could get some good qualified people to be on the back of the truck, so the laborers. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Wilder. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Councilman Green, and then I have the CAO to speak after.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to commend you all, and I want you all to know that I'm on board to do what is right by you all, and just count me in that we're going to do what's right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. CAO.
Yes, I wanted to make a clarification, and I had to pull it up just so I have my eyes on it. The solid waste division does not make enough money to support itself. Again, between the collections, the landfill, and bulk waste pickup, totals $15.2 million. All of those divisions generate $9.3 million in direct costs. That doesn't include the support that it receives from the finance department or retained risk or from fleet services, but in direct cost, it doesn't support itself.
So you're about $5 million off from being able to support
$5 million in direct cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, there could be a possibility that we could be leaving some money on the table at the landfill that I would like for us to look into, and the mayor and I have spoken about that, and so.
All right. That's it, Ms. Jones?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Councilman Green, sorry.
Yes, I had made a request, Mr. Mayor. Did you get that request for the?
Yes, and we're going to present those numbers to you. We're still generating them. About the recycling costs, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to get them to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Mr. Wild, I just wanted to say that, those, I don't have to say much, and I never do, but those guys know exactly how I feel and where I stand on that with them. So I appreciate you coming down today and speaking for those who could not speak for themselves.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Lester Smith.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. My name is Lester Smith. I live 4148 Theo Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm here to support this tax where the sanitation workers are concerned. And I have a concern. I'm concerned that the monies that this tax generate, that it be used for the sanitation workers, not put somewhere and used for another purpose. If it's going to be for these guys, I support it wholeheartedly. And as a citizen of the Moortown area, I don't want to pay $18 a month, and my service don't get any better. If I'm going to spend $18, I expect some increase. I'm not spending $18 for Southeast Shreveport to continue to do better, and we in the inner city continue to lag and need. So in saying that, if this money is going to be allocated for the sanitation workers, for those guys to get a raise, for better life, better means of living, I'm all for it. And if you're going to, put it on a budget for them, you got me on board. But to just say that we're going to give $18 and not know where it's going, I'm not for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Johnny Belk.
Good afternoon. I'm Johnny Bell, 447 Champ Clark, Shreveport. First of all, I understand the plight of the persons picking up our garbage. And we have all suffered late pickup. I don't have a problem initially with their getting an increase in pay. However, I would like for you to consider the other side of the coin. I want you to consider those of us who are senior citizens, those of us who are on fixed incomes, those of us who are retired educators. I heard someone say on the news something about an assistance. Some of us are not going to qualify for assistance. We can't afford it, but we're not going to qualify. People are unemployed, people are underemployed. I can't afford an $18 a month increase. And in addition to that, I'm paying $250 a month for recycling. My recycling was not picked up at all in December, nor this month, January. I have called, I have called, I have called. I have been put off. Finally, last Friday, the recycling was picked up. The can was full. I called to ask, can you refund me my $250? I didn't get service. No, we can't do that. Why am I paying for a service that I'm not receiving? And again, I appreciate the jobs that the gentlemen do and the ladies do, but I cannot go along with I can't afford an $18 a month increase. And let's look at the fact of the government shutdown. We don't know what the future holds, but sooner or later it's going to trickle down to us. So I'd like for you to consider the words of Matthew chapter 25, verse 40, and as much as you have done it for one of the least of these, my brethren, you've done it unto me. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. Ace Montgomery.
And I want to add while he's coming up that I hope everyone has already turned in their speaking papers, because we won't be accepting any more at this time.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I'm here to talk about the $18 fee. Yes, as other citizens have said, that some of us just don't have it. And trying to figure out where the...
State your name and address.
Oh, excuse me. My name is Ace Montgomery.
Thank you.
Some of us just don't have it in our budget.
Address, please, sir.
Excuse me?
Address.
Your address.
Oh, address 124 Merrick Street.
Merrick.
For the record.
Anything else? Just want to make sure. All right, cool. Yeah. Some of us just don't have it in our budget. And my main concern is finding out where the money's actually going to be going. It's our job as citizens to hold the government accountable and find out exactly where our money is going. We all have been tasked with the withholding city funds and making sure that we pay our taxes. And if there is a shortfall, I'm all for making sure that these men get paid, because we find out just how important it is for our trash to get picked up when it ain't picked up. So to say that any one of us is more important than the other will let one of us stop doing our job. So I'm saying that if it's going to raises, fine, but in the mayor's op-ed, he talks more about the reserve budget, but makes an emotional plea for the sanitation workers. So if we're going to make the money go to the sanitation workers, just show us where it's going to go. How much of it is going to go to the sanitation workers and where the rest of the money is going to go. But if it's only just to get us all excited and emotional about making sure that the sanitation workers get paid, but only about $1.5 million actually go to the sanitation workers, then I'm totally against it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Ora Hart. Ms. Hart, good afternoon. How are you, ma'am?
Good afternoon. All is good. Mr. Mayor, to the council, my name is Ora Hart.
I live at 6911 Bethany Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. The first thing I want to say is, whatever I say, it's not against you. I've been asked, what side are you on? I'm on the side of a better Shreveport, a more livable community. That's the side I'm on. And I believe that that's the side that you're on. The first thing I want to say is that we definitely need to pay. But unfortunately, we need to pay for the service that we get. There are things that can be changed so that people pay for the service that they use. I mean, I'm so happy when I call solid waste or when I call somebody and they really respond to me. Much of the time, we might not get a response, and we might not have what we're asking for taken care of. There are issues that need to be spoken to, and that's what I would like to see, us working together so that these issues are taken care of. If I'm a landlord, as I said before, I need to take care of my solid waste. I don't want to pay for somebody else's solid waste. You have tenants, you empty the houses, you put it on the street. I don't want to pay for that. So I don't know what the process is. I don't know what the need for change in code is. So if there's a code that says, as a resident, I get 1 garbage can, then that's the code. We all get 1 garbage can. If we're doing the blue, recycling, thank you, honey. Doing the recycling, we get 1 can or 1 box for recycling. Not more, not less. If you are supposed to come and pick up my recycling every other Tuesday, I expect for you to come and pick up my recycling every other Tuesday.
We always appreciate your comments. Thank you so much for being here.
Councilman Butcher had a...
Just real quick, Ms. Hart, something you said, something you said Friday kind of hit home with me, and you know, and it's something to what Councilman Bradford said as well, the elderly. You know, you're not using as much trash as my family of 3 and collection. I would like, I'm not sure exactly what the population of Shreveport is over, or how many residents we have that are over 70 years old, but I'd like for the administration to look into that and see if there's any way that we could do some type of exemption for anybody 70 to 75. It'd be similar to what the tax assessor does with freezing your taxes. It'd be an application type process, and if you wanted that, we could look at it possibly doing that. But that might be a good addendum or amendment to this ordinance, to where if you're over 70 years old, you fill out an application, you send it to us, and you don't have to pay the fee. That would, most of the calls that I'm getting are either I don't want to pay it, or I don't mind paying it, or what about the elderly and the poor? And I think this might be something to look at. If it's like, I saw a number today, it's 13% of our population is 65 and above. If that's it, what would it impact your plan? At least for us to look at it and see. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And not every, it's not like everything that, one, you know, like I may be a landlord and need a lot of bulk pickup. I mean, I understand what you're saying. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and maybe that's something we can look at.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Councilwoman Fuller.
Since we're already bringing that up, I wanted to remind you that we also are looking at different models, that we're looking for the research to look at a sliding scale, because we're looking at also 43% of our constituents being at or below poverty.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Hart, I'll just say I didn't mean to short your time. I'm going to wear my glasses from now on. I apologize.
We owe her 4 seconds next time.
She's got it. Michael Brown. Hello, Mr. Williams.
Hello, Michael Brown, 1458 Bellwood Street. I'm here to propose the garbage fee. I worked for the sanitation department over 11 years, 7 years as a helper, 4 years as a driver. And the job that we do is extremely hard. We start at 6:45 to until. And the reason I say that, our city is constantly getting bigger, and we do not have enough equipment to cover it. Southern Trace, St. Charles, new subdivision that's getting built on Burcoon. And with this proposal, we can keep drivers, we can keep helpers. In the 6 months' time, we lost over 20 drivers, 7 helpers, to better themselves and to better their family. But we still got some at the city that still is loyal and take pride to serve the city of Shreveport. And they work hard. Every day. The holiday season came 7 days a week, no complaining, Monday through Sunday. That's all I got to say. Just look out for us, and the money that come towards us, better equipment, we can get the job done at a decent time. The citizen don't have to worry about when my trash gonna pick up. They know when Friday comes 7 o'clock, they trash man there or they trash woman there. That's all I have to say. Any questions? Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Councilwoman Fuller.
I just want to preempt Mr. Perkins, who's going to probably stand up and mention something that this gentleman just touched on. We have grown in land area, but we have not filled in the population to actually to sustain what we have going on inside of what we consider our loop based on our master plan to actually justify the amount of land area we've picked up heading south. So if we start looking at things per capita, what we should actually be doing is looking at it per square mile, because we don't have the additional population to justify it the other way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Kingcraft.
I see your cousin's mayor. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, 8 of you. Okay, Yogi Berra is number 8. He's famous for saying it's not over till it's over. This thing's not over. Here's what the mayor before proposed.
State your name and address, please.
Kenneth Kraft, 157 Arch Avenue, Shreveport. I was waiting for that, 71105. She proposed a $12 a month fee in a sanitation, a new fund. We have a street special revenue fund when we raised the SWEPCO franchise tax to the max way back. And that money is dedicated. The other gentleman 3 speakers ago is very correct. How do we know it's going to be for the pay for the drivers and the laborers and the new trucks? It goes into the general fund, it gets lost, and it becomes mad money. My proposal at the prior mayor was $6 to $8 a month. Look it up. The AGE council members know that. You know, age, I call you guys have the age on the council. You've been here. You're not the youngest, but you have the age on the council. And I said $6 to $8, and that's still enough to increase the reserve, which is an admirable thing, which is a proposal I made Monday, April 18th, 1980, as an applicant to work for the city. Hadn't been hired yet to May 1st. One of the 5 proposals I made was establish an operating budget reserve. So I'm very fond of that since I proposed it almost 39 years ago. And we got it, and we got it up to 8.8, and then Sharika can tell you it started playing down, and it's considerably low. So the way you take care of the reserve, not with a garbage fee. Garbage fee, special sanitation fund for packers, salaries, or, well, actually the packers should be out of general operating. When you do your citizens bond committee for streets, drainage, bridges, spar, big fire trucks that cost $500,000, 2 prior mayors, Hannah and Hussey, have bought garbage trucks. Citizens approved both of those. One was November 4th, 1980, and the other was November 19th of 83. and we bought garbage trucks, and we used federal revenue sharing. You don't have that anymore. But here's my problem. Here's $18, 3 Abrahams and 3 Georges. If I pay that every month, I don't go to Olive Garden once a month. The waitress doesn't get a tip. The city and the state and the parish, nobody gets the sales tax. It's not a zero-sum game. An $18 fee out of the hide of all these Shreveport households decreases the sales tax about $400,000 a year, because 2.75% of that fee goes away, because my neighbor's going to stop contributing to the World Wildlife Fund, which is $19 a month. She's just going to cut that out. So here's a simple proposal, and I've made it to Mayor Glover, Mayor Tyler. You get a Lincoln on a Lincoln for 2 years. You let the people vote, maybe at the gubernatorial primary in the fall, and you do 0.2% for 2 years. You raise an additional $18 million. It goes away. Bond rating goes up. Interest rates go down, and you got a special fund. Let's take care of these garbage workers. They really bust their ass.
Lauren Ray Anderson.
Hello. My name's Lauren Anderson, 247 East Lister Street, Shreveport, 71101. First and foremost, I have to give a shout out to the guys who do trash pickup on my street, Lister Street, and Shreveport and Highland. They do a fantastic job, and they do work very hard. I don't have a single complaint against trash pickup in my neighborhood. So yes, I am talking about the trash tax. It is a tax, it's not a fee. Calling it a fee doesn't change the fact that it is a required amount of money charged by the government. People can't opt out. It's a tax. A rose by any other name would smell just as sweet. Calling it something else doesn't change what it is. And I think it's sad that the city anybody would try and fool the public or the people of Shreveport by calling it a different name. It's a tax. Secondly, if I were to come into a new job running a city, for instance, the first thing I would want to do is look at the books, audit. The money coming in, the money going out. Let's see it. Where's it at? Everybody's been asking about it today. It seems like we do have a problem. I agree 100%. I brought a picture, as a matter of fact, to show you the issues that we're having in my neighborhood. But it seems like the city's automatic response to this problem is to throw money at it, charge people. Let's see some creative problem solving instead of creative use of language. Sorry, I knew I shouldn't have wrote this down. I'd like to use the projector though, because I'd like to show y'all what the real issues are, and this speaks to what Ms. Hart was talking about earlier. This right here, this is the problem in Shreveport. It looks like a third world country. These charge a fat fee, and then they charge a fat deposit, and then by the time month 2 comes around, people can't afford their rent, they're evicted, and then the slumlord empties out somebody's life onto the curb. This is ridiculous. I hate to put people on blast, but it wasn't even put in back boxes. These people need to be fined. Find them into compliance, and once again, to piggyback on Ms. Hart's idea, 1 bin per household. If you overburden, if you go past your burden, then you should absorb that burden and pay your share. And then secondly, people do need bulk pickup. This is a thing, but have the city charge for it. Write a proposal, and if the people want to accept the proposal, great. If not, have a third party do it. That way, maybe create jobs. We're not going to lose jobs, and we solve a problem. And I'd also like to bring attention to the fact that it was brought up that the trash workers are not here today to talk and to state their case, how their work environment is, because these meetings are held at 3 p.m. when most people are at work. Maybe reconsider. Thank you for your time.
David Cox.
David Cox, 8906 Blom Boulevard, Southern Hills, Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm going to touch on a few basic needs of the citizens of Shreveport right now. First off, congratulations on the election, but I don't look at it as an election. We hired you guys. We hired you. When you start talking about people's money, $18 an hour may not be much to some people, but it is to others. When you start talking about these men working daylight to dark, I'm in transportation, have been for 30 years. If you drive a CDL truck and you're in and out of that truck, that's a $20 job. If you are a lumper taking trash in and out of that truck, that's a $15 an hour job. If you don't believe it, go do it for a month. Now, when we start talking about budgets, we heard from a majority of you people when y'all ran for office. And what I heard was, we're going to go in, we're going to find our money. We're going to scrub this budget. We're going to go back and audit the money. You said it too, Mr. Mayor. But 30 days into this administration, instead of going back and looking where the problem is, where our money is, all we hear is, we're going to tax $18 for trash and then go up, hopefully our bond rating to go up to an A. Well, it took us 9 years, Mr. Mayor, at the commission to get a AAA. We didn't do that overnight. We systematically did it piece by piece, year by year, cutting. If somebody retired, we didn't hire nobody. We went back and told them if you could put a screwdriver to it and put a nut on it and work it another year, you did that. You have to know how to work a budget. You have to know how to work a department. And in doing so, then you can come back to the citizens of Shreveport and say, you know what? We've done our due diligence. We've looked at everything. We've scratched, highlighted, and looked through all the budgets. And we have went back 12 years to find out where our money's been. Because I'm going to tell you, I know for a fact, invoices were given to the city of Shreveport over the years for one amount, and then the city of Shreveport wrote something different 3 times what it was originally paid for. We paid for that. The citizens of Shreveport paid for that. That shouldn't happen. I've got 2 water bills. One's mine. One is another house in Southern Hills. One's for $130.49, 500 gallons. One is for $137 for 125 gallons. The 137 is my house at 125 gallons. The other one has had nobody living at this address for 6 months. We have a problem.
Out of time. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Can I get a continuance for 15 seconds or so?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
The good thing about being on the commission, I know how to work the system. If you have a problem, you need to address it before you come to the citizens of Shreveport. Because I can tell you what, and I'll wrap up on this. If you come down the road and pass this without taking care of those guys on those trucks, and then you come down and say, well, we got a project and the city's going to put in $10 million, we're going to ask you, where'd you get it from?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Councilwoman Fuller?
Thank you, Chair. Does the commission pay for police and fire?
Through their taxes with the sheriff's department, yes.
Like a dedicated millage, though, not from the actual.
It's a millage.
But not from the general fund from the parish.
Nope.
Do they pay for street repairs?
Yes, not in the city. If we did, we'd have them fixed.
So no neighborhood street repairs. So no neighborhood street repairs.
No, not within the city limits.
What about solid waste pickup?
Outside the parish, yes, we do have
Out
solid
of the
waste.
general fund?
Ma'am?
Is it general fund or dedicated?
It is a
millage?
dedicated fund.
Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Next.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Hope you
That's
learned.
it.
Mrs. Buckles.
Good afternoon, Council. Good afternoon, Councilman Bradford. My name is Mrs. Buckles, and I live on Simpkins Drive in Shreveport, Louisiana, zip code 71107. And I prepared this letter, but since I've been sitting here, I've learned some new information, but just bear with me, please. I'd like to read it to make certain I cover everything that was on my heart. Greetings, Mayor. My name is Mrs. Eddie Buckles, Sr. I currently reside in the Cooper Road ML King community. I was made aware of your proposed sanitation increase. Sir, I have no problem with the sanitation workers who handle my street. They are a blessing. I do not begrudge them a pay increase. I have questions as to the amount and how this is to be implemented. The $18 fee increase, would you kindly tell me how or what formula was used to arrive at this amount? Is this amount totally going to be to the workers or some going to administrative fees, equipment maintenance fees, or whatever? I've heard that you compared Shreveport to Bossier City. I do not think that it is fair to compare the two cities. Shreveport, especially my community, does not have the same socioeconomic resources that Bossier City has. I equate this to comparing an apple to some other object not food or fruit related. I would like to invite you back into our community. Look at how many homes are in disrepair. Look at our homeowners. Most are seniors, as old and older than I, and I am a senior saint. The weather and instability of our soil have created problems that insurance will not cover. We are forced to make repairs on our own. We have had our fair share of dishonest contractors, and yet we must still find a way to carry on. Other communities in the city are more prosperous, and $18 is not going to hurt them. This is not our story. If a sliding scale percentage was assessed based on property tax values of each neighborhood or community, I think this would be a more equitable solution. A waiver could be also designed for those who are truly stretched beyond their means and/or their property reflects maintenance distress. The waiver idea was suggested by Mr. Hamilton, who daily volunteers with the elderly in my community, but no longer resides in the city. Could we not build our own system for waste disposal, thereby providing jobs for our community and hopefully reducing monies to outside contractors? Is it truly cheaper to hire these outsiders? I understand the argument of not being responsible for insurance and retirement funds of our own, yet we are making a deposit into our own family. At some point in time, this should outweigh the benefits of the deposit. We need to create jobs for our own. Any contractor that comes to this city to do work should be required to hire at least 50% of his workforce from our citizens, or we seek someone else. Does not sanitation fall under the covering of the water department? Did we not get an increase for the next 5 years, also based on a sliding scale, but not by community, to bring the system up
Ms.
to
Buckles,
par?
thank you so much for your comments.
May I please,
Motion
to
to
the last
extend.
paragraph, may I
Motion extend.
finish?
Second.
May I have an extension, please?
So moved.
Thank you kindly.
Okay, well, how long is this time?
30 seconds.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh,
30
mercy.
seconds.
I'm sorry, the last one was 15, so.
30 seconds.
I understand. Well, I tell you what, I'll leave a copy for this with you to read, and I thank you kindly for your time.
Submit it to the clerk.
Submit it to the clerk and not to him personally?
No. I mean, who you want to have it?
I want this for the mayor.
If
I
you
have
could-
some other proposals, some suggestions, because I'm a widow and a single parent now, having to raise my own family, and I've been in
Okay, can you
debt
pass
for
it
over
over
3
to
years.
Ms. Tanya? Can you raise
and
your
I
hand
got
so
out
she
of
can get
debt
that from
with
you?
God's
If you
grace.
give it to the
And
clerk,
so
it'll
we
go to
can-
the public record.
Michael Williams.
Michael Williams, 2101 Carver Place. To our honorable mayors, good to see you. To Mr. Chairman, to all the fine men and women who serve in our city. You know, this is a defining moment in our history. We're preventing something that you guys have inherited, this administration. And I believe you want to maintain and sustain good working men and women. If you pay, they will stay. I believe that as we look upon this opportunity to have a win-win solution where we can increase revenues to pay our men and women who serve, whether rain, sleet, or snow, they serve. This has not been a mystery in our community to pay our people for the work that they do. Honest day work for honest day pay, and put some dignity to a job that many people feel are very inhumane that wouldn't do. So I pray that we would have a spirit of compromise and come with a win-win where we try to increase our Moody bond rating, where we can attract Fortune 500 companies here to come and bring jobs for our people. We wouldn't have to lose our men and women to competitors across our nation. Dr. King in 1968 fought for this same initiative we're fighting for today. He lost his life for trying to help people find quality work. I'm asking as a citizen that you would let your egos pass and let your personality pass and look at what we're at stake here. Not only are our revenue bonds are not able to invest and bring our Moody bond where you can invest and get our credit rating where it should be, we can't even pay our people. These people need money just like you do to pay your water, light, and gas, your cable TV, your insurance, your cars. They need the same thing you need. Not just minimum wage, but what we need is a maximum wage in the 21st century. You can operate a budget on the 19th century and the 21st century time. You can operate the same budget you did 30 years ago. The 21st century, people. Let's get real here. And I just believe if we would just pump the brakes and don't make a knee-jerk reaction and do all the vetting like you said, Mr. Butcher, and look at all the other divisions. What we need to do is give people a rebate in our water and sewer department. That's where the rebate need to be. And put our men and women and have dignity when they come to work and pride, because these are not just people, employees, they're our brothers, they're our sisters, they're people who go to church with us, go to school with us. They even work with us. These people pay taxes. So it would be getting a return on your investment. So this is a wise investment, and I pray that as we go forward with the vetting period that we'll come with a solution to be able to have a sliding scale for the people that are poor that can pay and our senior citizens. That was a great recommendation you made. But I just want to commend the mayor for either bring some forward. The mess that you got inherited now came from the past administration. And you have to be solution-oriented, not point fingers at one another, but come together and come with a cohesive plan that we all can be proud of and our city can be proud of, and we be called one. And as I go to my seat, I would just like to say, in this defining moment in history,
thank you, Mr. Williams.
Don't be a part of history, but help rewrite history today. Thank you very much.
James Karstensen.
He a rookie, man. He on stage. He just got it. He just got it. He on stage. What charge did he hit?
Howdy, James Karstensen, 913 Prospect Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 1104. I have a ton of different angles to go. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and make it quick because there's so much stuff going on in here, so many people talking about different things. Let's see, we have a spending problem, correct? I mean, that's what's really going on here. If you spend more money than you have, you're going to have a bad credit rating. That's just going to happen. So if you guys can't do what it takes to scrub the budget and actually do the work, the credit rating, you're just pretending and kicking the can down the road. This is the same thing we went through a little over a year ago whenever it happened. I saw something posted by the mayor's office on Facebook. New Orleans, Bossier City, one hit that New Orleans spends about $1,333 per citizen. Bossier City spends about $715. Shreveport spends $2,718 per citizen. All right, more than double New Orleans, which isn't a really great example to go on anyways, but it's still better. That we have to address the spending. Main thing there, I'm sorry, my notes are all kinds of scattered here, and I don't want to get into topics and run out of time. Let's see, the Alice report, I know it says like 43% of all citizens, but it's actually over 50% of all households, which all households are going to have a water bill. So more people actually are living at or below the poverty line than they can. We also have, from the Community Foundation, 36% of families with children under 5 years old are living in poverty in Shreveport. Not Caddo Parish, at Shreveport. Let's see, gotta skip all of that. because these are all going to get way too far in. And my cousin back there doesn't want me talking about it. Let's see. But I will be talking to all of you about it. So I really hope that any of you would reach out to me, give me some more time, because 3 minutes is just not enough. I should say that workers should be paid competitive wages. That's fire department, that's the police department, that's the sanitation department. Everybody should be paid. But we, meaning the people and our representatives on city council, have to do their due diligence and prioritize our vital needs for the budget. That has to be done. Those amendments have to be made. Otherwise, we're just wasting time, kicking the can down the road. I'll yield the rest of that time, but I have plenty more to talk about, so I'll probably see y'all in 2 weeks.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, those are all the timely requests we received to speak.
Okay. And now we're down to, we have the following executive appointments to be considered today. I'm sorry, I had one person left to speak. Mayor Perkins.
Yeah, really quick. I appreciate the public comments today. I really do. I appreciate the comments from my council members as well, and all the brainstorming that's went into us coming up with a plan, a solution that all of Shreveport can agree with and we can move forward. I by no means purport myself to be to know everything at all. What I know is that I promised the people of Shreveport that I would do a third-party audit when I came into office, and to what I discovered was actually there was an audit already done last fall that showed a discrepancy between our reserves that was in our public budget and what we actually had. So I was dealing with a time bomb at that point because I don't know when Moody's will be here. I really don't. I'm sorry, not Moody's, but S&P will be here and other credit ratings. I just don't. I don't know how long we can continue to go with our trash workers working at about 50% capacity, working 7 days a week. So yeah, I very much, in that op-ed that was referenced earlier, I purposely conflated the reserve and our trash workers because both of them are on my agenda. I don't, both of them have a time clock. So again, I don't purport to know everything about this. I am super happy that concerned citizens are coming here and talking to us about how we can come to an equitable solution that the city of Shreveport can agree with. And I'm looking forward to working with our councilmen going forward. As far as where that money would go, I spelled it out in the op-ed, I spelled it out in my press conference. It's gonna go to both. It's gonna go to the sanitation workers, and it'll go to, not necessarily directly to replenishing our reserve, but to stop the subsidizing of our trash collection. That's what's going on right now. We're subsidizing that department, and wages go up every year, inflation goes up every year. So, I've been very direct with it. Very, very direct with our intentions, but that's what elections are for. That's what you all are for, to continue to hold me accountable. So that's what I'm asking for you all to continue to do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for those words, Mayor. And I appreciate that very much, the transparency that we've been getting and the conversation we've had with the mayor's office. I appreciate that. Now, we have the following executive appointments to consider at this time.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we did. Oh, push the button.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we did not have the opportunity to engage the candidate for city attorney. She's here. I would like her to come forward before we confirm anybody, okay?
That's where we're at right now. Yes, sir.
Mayor, members of the council, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Creel, first I want to say I'm glad that the opportunity presented itself to you, and I just hold my comments off to the last. I'll let Councilman Bradford start.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Pronounce your name, last name.
It's Makisha Smith Creel.
Creel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Creel, and I have your resume, and I just want to ask you a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
And the charter gives us the responsibility of vetting appointments, even though the mayor appoints you. And it has been said that the mayor deserves to have his appointments confirmed. Now, I don't subscribe to that directly, okay? And I think we have to just be clear or be certain, feel comfortable that those appointments are ready and qualified and prepared to carry out the duties of their position. I consider the city attorney's office the most important and vital appointed office in the city.
Speaking to the mic.
I'm sorry?
Some people can't hear you speaking to the mic.
But you got to order a longer mic for me.
Chairman, I'm gonna bring my handheld. From the church next week.
My neck is. But anyway, and I appreciate the mayor and giving you the opportunity to offer yourself for this position.
Yes, sir.
It's similar to 4 years ago when another candidate for the office of city attorney was before us, and I asked him some similar question I'm gonna ask you. What your current last position was with the DA's office?
Yes, sir.
What was the scope of your duties there?
The scope of my duties at the County DA's office, I was the section chief for Section 3. That is a criminal section. I was responsible for the management of all of the attorneys and administrative staff within my section. That was 2 additional attorneys and 2 secretaries. I was responsible for the disbursement of cases and workload. I was responsible for the prosecution of major felonies, specifically homicide, aggravated rape. One of the duties that I took on was, this was voluntarily, I was also the human trafficking coordinator for the office, and so I was the one that oversaw the diversion program, if you will, for ladies and individuals within that level of crime. Also, I work closely with some of the higher ranking attorneys, such as the homicide screening chief and the sex screening chief, in the assessment of cases and presentation and information that would go into the grand jury, and any other special assignments that DA Stewart would assign me.
Have you, and I don't see it on your resume, have you had any relationships to dealing with cities or municipalities in that area?
Not directly. I do have a background in human resources. That was my pre-lawyer life. I worked for a Class 1 railroad that dealt with a number of communities wherein the road operated, and I had an opportunity prior to going to the DA's office and doing some civil work for various citizens within the community, but not directly doing municipal work.
Have you reviewed the city attorney's office in regards to the charter and how it's formed and how it's structured?
Absolutely, yes, sir. When I was initially approached about the opportunity, that was one of the main things that I was taking under consideration, because I knew that would be, for lack of better words, a deficit on my part. That was not something that I had direct experience with, so I've been taking time to study the charter, and although I have not been able to start, because I realize there is the vetting process, and I appreciate that process, I have taken my own personal time to meet with the various members of my hope-to-be team, just to get a feel for them and their various duties and things that they have going on, as well as concerns that they may have. And those are some of the things that I've been doing in preparation for the position.
From your review of the department, how many staff members are in that department?
I believe it's a total of 13, including administrative staff.
Have you reviewed the outsourcing of various specific cases in what we pay those attorneys that represent us?
No, sir, I have not. I was concerned about being too engulfed in the city's business without being an appropriate employee of the city, and so I asked to table those conversations until after we saw how the confirmation process worked out. But it is my understanding, based on my conversation with various people within the office, including Ms. Strand and Ms. Zelda Tucker, that over the past couple years, they have been able to decrease costs by implementing some standards in terms of billing and how work is assessed. And so I would like to continue that, but I don't have any direct information.
Well, and I appreciate it. That may have been a premature question. I wouldn't think you would be kind of milling around in those things. But I do want to, you mentioned two names that I totally admire and commend them for the job that they do. Yes, and that's Ms. Strain and Ms. Tucker.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware, and I'm sure you are, that you and your office represent both the mayor and the council?
Yes, sir, I am.
Several years ago, matter of fact, 3 years ago, I filed for a Attorney General, Louisiana Attorney General opinion on should this council. It didn't happen at the previous council, but it happened at the administration prior to 2014, that there was a serious conflict of interest that existed between the mayor at the time and the city council. It became very, very contentious. If there is a situation to where the council and the mayor doesn't agree on a process or procedure or a issue, how do you view you would handle that? My argument to the Attorney General was, since the mayor is your direct supervisor, that in those instances you would favor the administration. Is that
my perspective, to
Yes.
favor the mayor and his administration versus the council?
Yes.
Am I understanding the question correctly?
Yes.
No, sir. I think in our conversations, the mayor realized very quickly that I'm not a yes person. I like to evaluate all of the information that is available. First, I would consult the charter, because that is the leading document for the city, and then I would consult any relevant statutory laws that would govern that issue, and I would just give my best legal determination based on my evaluation of that information. I wouldn't necessarily side with the mayor, for lack of better words, just by virtue of the fact that he's the mayor. I don't believe that's what he selected me for, and I think he knows me well enough by this time that that's not something that I would do.
Okay. I just have another question or comment.
Yes, sir.
And my clerk, who is a very efficient and brilliant clerk of council, he cautioned me to not pursue that any further, because he said there could be a scenario to where we'd be suing each other.
That could be an issue.
So, but anyway, I mean, we both had our own attorneys, so, and I agree with them on that. So anyway, that's not an option that I think we'll be pursuing. I did have some reservations about the fact that you did not have any experience in this municipal city area. So I called your previous boss, Attorney James Stewart.
Yes, sir.
A very first personal friend of mine, and I asked him to give me some information that he felt your strengths was, and he was very recommendable of you, and thought that you can handle it. You can handle what comes your way. So for that reason, I would be supporting your confirmation.
Thank you.
And thank you.
And if I may just comment on that, I realize that would be there will be a learning curve. I'd ask for some grace from the members of the council, but I fully intend to meet, if not exceed, your expectations. I plan to do everything it is in my power to continue the function and the support that the city attorney's office provides to the council and the mayor, as well as the various departments of the city. And I will do everything that I can to prevent any bumps or gaps as that process takes place.
And I trust that you will. And I asked a question regarding outsourcing cases because we had a guy here last Wednesday who thought that his position could save us some money. And I want you to be conscientious of what you can do to help save us some money as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right. Just to conclude on Councilman Bradford, and normally everyone here knows I'm kind of quiet. I don't say that much. I'm probably the quietest one up here. But I've gotten some emails and some letters from people who normally don't speak out for folks. And they spoke highly of you for this position, and I appreciate that from them. And there are some things that I did not know as far as city government and still don't know. You know? And but I have those people over there that I use like crazy, and I call them after hours just to get an understanding on some things because I do not know. And I would just suggest that maybe you would use Ms. Strand the same way
Absolutely.
that we do. So I appreciate the mayor's consideration, and I will be supporting your confirmation.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Nichols.
Ms. Krill, welcome.
Hi.
I'm glad you're here, and I look forward to working with you. I'm the only lawyer, for better or worse, on the council at present. One lawyer's probably a good idea. Two would be one too many. But as a consequence of the fact that we're both lawyers in the same community, we have many mutual friends. And I want to thank my colleagues on the council for indulging me when I suggested that we delay your confirmation for 2 weeks. Or delay is the wrong word, but that we follow the normal rules of the council. I took that time to reach out to people that you and I know well. And they uniformly reported to me that you are a person of the highest integrity, that you have an unflagging work ethic, and that you are equipped to do this job. So I want to say that publicly and tell you that those recommendations are what makes me comfortable in supporting your nomination. I don't know if you can fully appreciate this if you haven't practiced law for a few years as you and I have, but a lawyer's integrity is the very most important thing.
Yes, it is.
You don't want a smart, dishonest lawyer, and you don't want a hard-working lawyer who is not a person of integrity. So you have the quality that is most important for a person in your position. And as my colleague Councilman Bradford said, this is a position of tremendous importance. The council and the mayor will look to you to make decisions that will impact litigation and contracts that are worth many millions of dollars over the course of your time. I'm pleased to hear you say that you are prepared to climb the learning curve that is an inevitable part of making a transition from a criminal practice, which is what you've had, to what is primarily a civil position. I commend to you Zelda Tucker and Karen Strand, two of your soon-to-be assistants. I've known Zelda well for many years, and she, in my view, is a critical part of the city's team that manages all the litigation that the city has to deal with. I hope that you will rely upon her. Ms. Strand, I've just met since I joined the council, but I found her to be very helpful as well. I think you have two good resources there, and I hope you will make good use of them.
Absolutely.
Another issue I want to touch on is the inverse of what Councilman Bradford was talking about. There was quite a protracted dispute several years ago about whether the city council could or should have its own lawyer, and the Attorney General answered that in the negative. It's important to me that the council and the mayor and you as the city attorney be on the same page on the question of who is responsible for supervising and controlling every lawyer in the city government.
Yes.
And in my view, the charter mandates that every person acting as a lawyer for the city of Shreveport on an ongoing basis be one of your assistants confirmed by the council. Is that a view you share based on your view of the charter?
Yes, that's my understanding of the charter, yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about the work that you've done in the DA's office. You said you were a section chief. You talked about some of the work you did, but that might not mean much to the public. How many trials have you handled over the years?
I've been there since 2012. I went back and just checked some of my stats actually last night just to review. What I counted was I've done 34 felony jury trials, at least 5 felony bench trials, and I stopped counting the misdemeanors several years ago.
Well, and I'll just say as a 40-something lawyer that there are not very many lawyers of our generation who have tried that many cases. And I see another one of them behind you, Ms. Prudham, nodding her head. She would know well. So welcome, Ms. Prudham.
Yes.
I also note that Ms. Prudham, my good friend and another member of the bar, is here to support you. Diaz Stewart is here as well. I thank them for their presence. Those are two people that I have great respect for, and it means a lot to me that they've taken the time to show their support for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I do too. Thank you.
You're done, Ms. Prudham. Is anyone else? Okay.
Y'all getting in the compliment sandwich mode.
We've done that. Just wanted to say I appreciate you again and thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you for the consideration.
All right.
I'm glad you went on the Councilman Joe Shine with him.
Kind of like in church.
So, Mr. Chairman, it's been offered two ways that we can do this. If there's no objections, we can confirm all three at the same time. If there's no objections, and if that's the case, then I so move that they are confirmed.
I second. It's been moved by Councilman Bradford and seconded by the chair to confirm City Attorney Makisha Creel, Chief Technology Officer and Smart City Director Keith Hansen, Bureau Chief.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, but before we go, could we vote on that motion that Mr. Bradford made, because I like for it to be of record? I prefer go individual. But could we vote? I mean,
Mr. Chairman, if it's one opposed, then we have to do individual.
So that's a substitute motion to approve the slate, and then we vote on that, and then we vote on the slate?
Let's get an opinion here from Mr. Ray.
I think ordinarily we would just vote one at a time, so if one member wants to do that, it just takes a few more minutes.
On City Attorney, it's been moved by Councilman Bradford and seconded by the chair for City Attorney Makisha Creel. Please vote. Creel?
So move on Keith Hansen, Mr. Chair.
Been moved by Councilman Green and seconded by Councilwoman Fuller on Keith Hansen, Smart Cities Director. Please vote. Six, one against.
So moved on Tracy Graham.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Green and seconded by Councilwoman Fuller on Bureau Chief of Special Program, Ms. Tracy Graham. I don't know if she's here today, but please vote. Congratulations, Ms. Graham. There are no items on the consent agenda?
One, Resolution 5. If there are no objections, a motion to adopt the consent agenda
So
will be in
moved.
order.
It's been moved by Councilman Green and seconded by the chair. Please vote. Mr. Thompson, please proceed.
On second reading and final passage, Resolution number 4 authorizes the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement with the African American Celebration Corporation.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Green, second by Councilman Bradford. On number 4, please vote. Motion. Thompson.
Resolution 6 will repeal Resolution 6 of 28, which established the City Council Haynesville Shell Revenue Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Vice Chair Nicholson and seconded by Councilman Butcher. Please vote. Number 6.
allocates funds to specific not-for-profit funds budgeted and other charges.
So moved.
There's one amendment.
All right, it's been moved.
The amendment,
Amendment.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
the amendment reduces some appropriations and adds an appropriation for the Urban Support Agency.
So moved on the amendment.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Fleury. We have a discussion by Councilman Vice Chair Nicholson.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to address this resolution now because it is in conflict with an ordinance that I have offered or intend to offer for introduction. We are in the process of going to the residents of the city of Shreveport and making the case for a sanitation fee, which, as many people have said here today, will be some sacrifice for many members of our community. One of the things that I promised to do on the campaign trail was scrub the budget and look for areas where we can save money. That process, as I've told many people that have contacted me about the sanitation fee over the past week, is a long process. It's not something that we can do overnight, but my ordinance, which is also on the agenda today, is a first step. For some years, the City Council has allocated an ever-declining amount of money to various nonprofit organizations on the recommendation of members of this council. I have no objection or concern about the particular nonprofits that are referenced in this resolution, and my ordinance suggesting that we should do something different with the money that Councilman Fleury would give to them is about this principle. If we don't have enough money in our budget currently to meet our city's basic needs like trash pickup and police and fire salaries, my view is that we should not be in the business of giving away taxpayer money to these nonprofit organizations or any nonprofit organizations. Not because I doubt that they do good things for our community, but because we have got to focus and prioritize how we spend the dollars that taxpayers have entrusted to us. So I'm speaking in opposition to Councilman Fleury's resolution, again, not because I have any concern about the particular allocations he has proposed, but because I would like to see those dollars reallocated to the operating reserve.
Councilman Boccia.
On the surface of this, at this point right now, I'm inclined to agree with my colleague, Mr. Nicholson. I think that at this point, we've listened to 15, 20 people talk today about better government and management. I'm not saying down the road, once we dig into this and look at this budget a little closer and get some things closed up, that we can't go back and amend this or give these dollars. But I believe wholeheartedly in philanthropy and giving and wanting our city and the people of our city to have better things. But right now, at the point that we are right now, and the emails that I've gotten from everybody and the calls that I've gotten, I could not, at this point, ask the taxpayers to pay more money, and then we're going to give this money to nonprofits. So at this point, I'm supporting Mr. Nicholson's ordinance.
All right, Councilwoman Fuller.
I would want to table Mr. Nicholson's ordinance rather than voting to move that money back to the general fund today. But more than that, I want to point out the irony of the situation that the exact motion of the civic appropriations, the ones listed, were suggested by Councilman Everson on December 20th and were moved to this meeting, the exact same ones. It's just ironic that we would have had them all funded if you'd left it alone. Because it was your motion to dismiss
Sure
those
was.
from that.
Sure was.
Just wanted to point that out.
Already know that.
All right.
Mr. Chairman over here.
I still think it's gonna be okay.
All right, Councilman Bradford.
We can't, Councilman Green was up first. We can't take.
I know, I just saw that. Councilman Green.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to say that this is not a matter of giving away the money. This is a matter of investing the money in these organizations to help these people do their job. If we fail to give them this, then we've got to go back and to the other organizations that we gave money to and say, hey, look, we've changed our minds because we went on record to say that we were going to fund these in this particular meeting. So I don't think it would be, and it's only, if we cannot survive without having $84,000 in the budget, we're in serious trouble anyway. We may as well just turn the lights out and go on to the house. If $84,000 is gonna put us that deep in the hole, we may as well shut it down. But I do believe this, we did not use the rest of the money. What we did was, we just, Councilman Bradford took some money from what his district was gonna get to help these other organizations. It's not like he was trying to have a monopoly on it. He wanted to share because there were some other folk who need some help. And I think that instead of looking at this as a giveaway, as a philanthropy, I think we ought to look at this as an investment for this time, because we did well, not us, but this body did promise to do this. And I just think we ought to hold true to our promise.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, I have Councilman Bradford and Councilman Nicholson.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I just want to correct, well, two things. I want to correct the distinguished Councilman Nicholson. These are not taxpayer funds. Okay, this allocation has been coming from our riverboat revenue. That's why it has been going through the B4 Riverfront Committee for consideration. In reviewing these applications, these are worthy. We have been over, just years assisting those entities that have good, solid program that reaches out to the citizens of this city, and awarding them with appropriations that could further reach out to and assist those who are usually coming from a very less fortunate environment. One in particular that I met with just last week, who is assisting some young people, Step Forward organization, for instance. I did not know the amount of youth who are homeless. At J.S. Clark Elementary School, I was introduced to the principal, and Step Forward is going to reach out to help some students in that school. And the principal told me that they have 600 students, and 125 of those students are categorized as homeless. And they don't have, they live with aunties and uncles and Providence houses and other shelters that they don't have anybody to help them. And they're going to help them. And I'm just saying that we as a city has to be compassionate enough to utilize funds. Again, these are not taxpayer dollars. We years ago we had enough funding from riverboat fees that we was able to do a whole lot more. There was over 12 million that was actually generated. In 11 million and 800,000 went into our general funds already. We and the mayor at the time in her executive budget, and we approved it, the last council, that we'll leave 150,000 to be considered for things that we have in the past have had a whole lot of money to deal with. And I'm just saying, this is not. I agree with Councilman Green. This is not a situation where it's going to put a dent into what we're trying to accomplish with our reserve. we can, the chair of that committee, of the B4 committee is Council Lady Fuller. We can look at this year how we want to move forward and disperse these type of funds. We can modify what we're doing, but I think, agree with Councilman, we had applications that we asked to submit by last July who have submitted the application, and we have chosen some that we feel are worthy to do this, and I think we need to move and do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Nicholson?
I won't restate my previous comments, or at least I'll try not to, but in response to my colleague Councilman Green's suggestion that I'm proposing we take money away from organizations that the prior council has already allocated funds to, that is not the proposition of my ordinance. The prior council left about $90,000 unallocated. So I'm not suggesting that we go back on any promise or commitment we made to any organization last month. I am simply saying we've got $90,000 in the budget that as yet is not allocated to any particular organization. I have made the case to my colleagues on the council and to members of the public that our budget and a 1% operating reserve is truly a crisis that has to be immediately addressed. I recognize that $90,000 is not going to solve the operating reserve problem, but returning those funds to the operating reserve is a small first step, and it's consistent with the manner in which I intend to govern as a member of the council. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Fuller?
Is it returning if it was a part of the Riverfront Enterprise Fund, though?
It is allocating it, Councilman Fuller. Perhaps return
Okay,
is the wrong
thank
word.
you. I did forget that I need to disclose that I do sit on a leadership council, not the board, but the leadership council for Step Forward. I don't think that means I need to recuse myself from this discussion.
You have
though,
no
correct?
personal interest in that.
Okay, thank you. I think that Councilman Nicholson is acting in earnest with this, but I think that it causes some sort of wonky inconsistency that's not sitting right with me, especially based on the discussions we've had about maintaining consistency with the way that we operate. I would like to see us move forward and make better decisions fiscally, but I feel like we're putting people in a bind that just kind of pulls the rug from under them to move like this at this point.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. I had Councilman Fleur. Not supposed to speak. I had Councilman Green and Councilman Butcher.
He can go on and speak. I was calling for the vote.
Just real quick, all I wanted to say is I recall the meeting in December when the previous council did say that they would leave it up to us to allocate these funds. So I don't believe a promise was made. However, I see both sides of this. All I'm asking for us to do is until we had a room full of people here today asking for us to vet what we're doing with their money. All I'm asking for is let's give it some time before we allocate these funds, and we have to start somewhere. So that's all I want to say. Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I call for the vote.
We're calling for the vote. What are we voting on
On
exactly?
the amendment, Will. On the amendment.
Okay. All right. If there's no other discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 4.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the resolution as amended.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, if this motion is ordered, table the resolution.
We'll probably have to do that when we get to that, correct, John?
Yeah. Well, my motion is to table the resolution on the floor.
Oh, the resolution on the floor.
There's no resolution on the floor. There's an amendment.
No, we're voting to adopt the resolution as amended.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has a motion, a substitute.
A substitute motion. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, we have a
Second.
substitute motion by Vice Chair Nicholson and a second by Councilman Butcher. If there's no discussion on that, please vote. And how long are we tabling this for? What meeting?
I defer to the clerk of court, but I understand that if a resolution is tabled, it remains there until
Until it's removed from the table.
it's removed.
And if we vote no, then it's.
Then it passes, yeah.
It passes.
Yeah.
So,
No.
No.
We have to make them vote for it.
No, if the vote fails, then that vote is only on the tabling. Then you would, there could be another motion to adopt. Or it's the first, sorry, the original motion to adopt.
so this is for tabling it, so if we vote yes, we want to table it,
That's
correct?
correct.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Gotcha,
And if you don't want to table it, you vote no.
gotcha.
Right.
If all understood, all votes in. Three.
Main motion, Mr. Chairman. Main motion is that we would adopt as amended.
Been moved by Councilman Bradford, and second by Councilman Fleury. Move as amended. Please vote. Five. 2 against.
Resolution 8, it requests the mayor to authorize the traffic engineer to draft and submit to the council.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Bucci. If there's no discussion, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of resolutions. There are 3. Resolution 9 authorizes the mayor to accept a monetary donation in the amount of $250,000 from Shreveport Green and the Quervies Park Foundation to the city of Shreveport to be utilized by the Shreveport Department of Public Assembly and Recreation. Resolution 10 authorizes use of certain city-owned equipment by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Resolution 11 authorizes use of certain equipment by Robinson's Rescue for the Best in Show event. Mr. Chairman, a vote to introduce and to vote on these resolutions would be in order.
So
Move for
moved.
introduction, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved by Councilman Bradford and second by the chair. If there's no discussion, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 3, 19 budget for the Riverfront Development Fund. Ordinance 4 amends the 2019 budget for the general fund. Ordinance 5 authorizes a purchasing agent to advertise for and solicit sealed bids to sell to the highest responsible bidder surplus city-owned immovable property and all improvements thereon located at 700 Cotton Street, Shreveport, referred to as the former Arlington Hotel building. Ordinance 6 amends various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code. Ordinance 7 amends and reenacts portions of Chapter 74 and 94 of the Code of Ordinances. Ordinance 8 amends and reenacts portions of Chapter 26, Article 6-4, Division 2 of the Code of Ordinances. Ordinance 9 amends the City of Shreveport's general fund budget. Ordinance 10 amends the 2019 capital improvements budget. Ordinance 11 amends Section 2-191 of the code. Ordinance 12 amends an encroachment into the city's public right-of-way located at 1961 Midway Avenue. Ordinance 13 is a zoning matter case number C-1-19. It rezones property located on the west side of Hope Street, approximately 250 feet northwest of Snow Street, from R3 multifamily residential district to C3 general commercial district. Ordinance 14 is a zoning matter C-3-19. It rezones property located on the north side of East Flournoy Lucas Road, approximately 1,000 feet east of Ellaby Road, from R17 single-family residential district to C1 PUD neighborhood commercial plan unit development district. Ordinance 15 is a rezoning matter, case number C-6-19. It rezones property located on the northeast side of Forum Drive, approximately 410 feet northwest of Corporate Drive, from NA Natural Areas District to I2 Heavy Industrial District. And zoning, Ordinance 16 is a zoning matter, case number C-85-18. It rezones property located on the northwest corner of Missouri Avenue and Jackson Street from R2 multifamily residential district to C3 general commercial district. Mr. Chairman, a motion and a second, or all
So
that's
moved.
required.
Okay, it's
Second.
moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Boucher.
Question.
Those items
Mr.
are introduced.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a substitute motion to introduce all but ordinances 3 and 4, which are inconsistent with the action the majority of the council has just taken on the resolution concerning the nonprofit fund.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Councilman Nicholson and seconded by Councilwoman Fuller. We'll have Councilman Bradford to speak.
That they are removed from the agenda? That what?
Remove them for the agenda.
Just not to be introduced
Okay.
today, yes.
Okay. Now, my question is not on the Councilman Nicholson's. My discussion is going to be on the I guess the ones that associate with the fee. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I think we've heard from our residents and constituents, and I'm still thinking about the best interests of our citizens and the inequity that this introduced ordinance will present. Now, I want to work on this, and I hope the mayor's agreeable that we can refer this item collectively to the Audit and Finance Committee for further discussion, and let the Audit and Finance Committee and this council come up with maybe some ideas or alternative resolution to ordinance to introduce to satisfy this very complex situation. Is the chair of the Audit and Finance Committee willing to take on this task? Yes. Okay. And I think again, and you heard the various discussions. Having a blanket, one-size-fit-all fee that affects MLK and affects Long Lake and the Southern Loop area, it's just in proportionate. I mean, it just match up. So, Mayor, do you have any? Let me ask you this: to help us move this to a situation that we can try to find a compromise in a product, and I'm using product for a better word of a remedy, that you can provide us with some statistics, if it's possible, to help us along. Can you, in the interim, I don't know what your schedule, how you can delegate this, the cost comparison of providing sanitation to the various areas of the city. For instance, what would be the cost of providing sanitation to, let's say Howlands, North Howlands, MLK area versus Southern Trace, Southern Loop, running those trucks all around the city. I'm sure that there's a cost estimate that could be associated with those. And again, 40 years ago, I moved into Queensboro, and I was on my street in maybe long 40 years ago, it was 1975. I was the third African American to move on that street. Queensboro in 1970 was a majority African American community. 40 years ago, the other areas of the city, our citizens choose to move out, and they did that on their own. And I think some type of appropriation should be added to that. We can't treat those that chose to move way out the boundaries of Shreveport. Because of our land use policy, we did not adequately address the expansion and the annexation, and now we're paying for it. And I'm just saying, I think we need to discuss that into a detail to see how we can be more equitable in assessing these type of things on our citizens. I think, Council Lady was clear, and she's right. While we have expanded our boundaries, our population have decreased for 4 years in a row. And yet our costs of providing city services are increasing and our population is decreasing. That's got to be addressed. And I think we can do that collectively. And my last question is that my citizens want me to have a community meeting in regards to this, and I will be having one next week. And I'm going to invite you, if you can come, I would like you to come and express your thoughts as well to that group. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Can I respond, Chair? Sure. Yeah, just to respond really quick. So we got a request to do some cost estimates on area of the city from Councilman Bradford. We got a request about recycling costs from Councilman Green. We have a request about the ordinances at the landfill from Councilman Butcher. And we have a request for looking at the annual cost for temporary services as well. So that's our homework assignment. I'm more than happy to provide you all with those numbers, given we can get it to you in time. My request would be to meet with myself prior to work session next week, after the Finance Committee meets, to come up with some options, and then we'll go into work session and push this forward.
And to help us along.
Yes, absolutely.
And somebody asked me, that $18 is negotiable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's negotiable.
Yeah. Everything on again. That was my whole, going on about me not having all the answers, but collectively I think we're a stronger unit. So again, I will get there to those responses to the finance chair, Councilman Fleury. And like I said, would like to convene prior to work session next week so we can talk before going into
the work session is until the 11th of
sorry.
2 weeks.
Yeah, we got, that's a good thing, we got time.
Yeah. Excuse me.
We got some time, even though.
Yeah, time is running together in my life right now. So, we'll, on the 11th, we'll get that all to you. So that's even more time for us to get our homework done. So I will get that I'll get everybody's request to Councilman Fleury, and we'll CC the other council members as well.
And Mayor, and you hear the sentiments of all your councilmen in the public. So you understand that we have to sell this.
Yes.
And that our people want transparency, and they want to be clear on where the money's going, how we're gonna address the two issues that you mentioned. And I think if we can satisfy that anxiety, we can move expeditiously into a remedy, into a situation where we can move forward as a city. We want this city to move forward.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman, like Councilman Bradford, I'm concerned about the potential impact that the proposed sanitation fee would have on the neediest members of our community. And I recognize, as he said, that everything's negotiable. That's why we're here. If his suggestion is that a committee take time to review this proposed legislation and give recommendations to the council, I don't have a problem with that. But if his suggestion is to refer the ordinance to the committee, I suggest that we need to keep this on the full council's agenda and make sure that it moves forward. And the whole reason that, in my estimation, that the mayor has proposed this sanitation fee is that we have an urgent need to address a budget that really is not in acceptable shape. I've called it a crisis on social media and in talking to constituents, and that's what I think. We cannot have an operating budget for an organization that's responsible for providing basic services to hundreds of thousands of people, for whom all the members of this council to some degree are personally responsible, that operates on a 1% reserve margin. So I think we need to keep the attention of the entire council focused on this issue. It needs to stay on the agenda until we reach a decision one way or the other.
And that was not my intent.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Fuller.
That was all I wanted to say. He handled it.
Okay. Councilman Butcher.
I would like to suggest this. I think Councilman Bradford's suggestion to send it to a committee is not a bad idea. However, we have 2 weeks. I would like to see us try to do something because time is of the essence. I believe what Councilman Nicholson said about a crisis. If in that 2 weeks I am not sold on this or feel that it's in the best interest of the taxpayers, then I will move to table it or vote against it. And that's, and let's move on. We've got a lot of business to do here. One question I do have, Mayor, and this is something that you and I have discussed. You know that I have a strong compassion for all employees of the city of Shreveport. I think that it's in the best interest of the city. I want to know, okay, so if we do the fee, what are we going to do with the funds that are going into solid waste right now? Will that be used not only to give our solid waste employees a raise, which they well deserve? Will that also go in to give other water department, my feeling on fire and police? Since we've been sitting here, and this is why I think that it's critical that we move fairly fast on this. Since we've been sitting here, I don't know if the audience is aware or not, but we've had 2 shootings since 3 o'clock today. And if anybody went to the funeral of Officer Payne and saw her baby crying over her casket, it's critical. We're losing officers left and right. I disagree with the mayor and the chief. From the officers that I'm talking to, they're leaving because pay is the #1 issue. They're going across the river. If I could tell you could go and make $4,600 more by going to Bossier City and not uplifting your family, not having to change your children from a school, then you're going to take that for what's in the best interest of your family. So I am 100%. We have got to work this out. And I don't want to see it go to a committee. I want us to try to work this out in the next 2 weeks, come up with something that everybody can live with, and if we can't get there, then we table it, or we vote against it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm going to...
Mr. Chairman, can I speak?
Sure.
And you'll address, I meant to ask you, you'll address that about where the...
And I will. And I was going to say, my thing is transparency. Like I said, I've been very consistent from the campaign trail to when I was in office, first press conference, every time we're at a work session or a council meeting. So if, again, whatever we decide with our urgent needs outside of, our sanitation workers, as long as we're transparent with the public on where those dollars are going. However, I would say we absolutely need to lock in a commitment from all of us that our reserves fund will be at a healthy rate, because those are the 2 things that I propose. Our reserve funds are at a healthy rate and our sanitation workers are taken care of. Those are the 2 things when I roll this out that I pointed out. So whatever in addition to that we add, and it depends on the number that we settle on, since Councilman Bradford talked about what's negotiable, on how much we can allocate towards other wages. So that's going to be dependent on the number that we come to a conclusion on. But we are confident. As a matter of fact, we know if we get that number, the 18 number, then we can take care of the sanitation workers and our reserve. So as long as we're transparent with the public, I'm okay with it.
Well, that's one of the questions that I've been, I've had people sending me numbers that are somewhat right, and they're asking me, okay, what are you going to do with the rest of the money?
Yeah.
And I think that it's a better sell to the public to say, okay, we're going to give police and fire a raise, we're going to give the water department a raise. Another issue that I'm hearing all the time is, water billing, like Mr. Cox said earlier, I don't know if he's still in here, it's messed up. Mine's messed up right now. My wife just paid $25 to have my own meter reread.
Yeah.
So, there are issues going on that we need to address. And anyway, I just want to let you know that I appreciate what you're doing. I think that you're working hard. There's no doubt about it. And I will support you if it's what the citizens want.
Yeah, thank you. And the water meter issues, we're in litigation right now, so I can't disclose a lot. With the previous company that we had, we are we're bringing in a new technology, Rostech, which I talked about during my inaugural address to the city, to solve our water problem. So that's another issue where we are working around the clock to make sure we get solutions for the people of Shreveport.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to, I'm going to defer to Councilwoman Fuller.
I thought of something. Imagine that. The Finance Committee meeting and any other meeting of the City Council is open to the public, and I hope that you all will consider having your next meeting within the next 2 weeks, especially if you're discussing this at a time when more people can have access to it, since so many people do have concerns that they might want to voice. And I think it would be really helpful if there was a way that we could call all the questions that we've received and do a Q&A page perhaps on the city website, and that we can post a link to on social media, so that people we can cull everything we've heard in the meetings, and we can also field more questions and answer them to the public over the next couple of weeks as well.
Okay. Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, I think we're doing a very healthy discussion, and I concur with everything that's been said. But I want to go back again, and I want us to be real and be cautious of this city, what this city is, who is Shreveport, and we didn't get here. We didn't get to this point on purpose. We got here because of situations beyond our control. The previous council and the previous council and administration did not intentionally have our reserve reduced. Okay, we had circumstantial issues that we couldn't avoid, and it's not gonna be easy to get out of this in a way that is going to be satisfactory to everybody. One thing that we have to consider, again, and my issue is, if we're talking about this city and we're talking about reserve, for instance, every citizen of this city has a responsibility to share in that burden. And everybody, and I think Mr. Carlson said that, only 57% of Shreveport citizens are homeowners. We have a high percent. Now, I'm not saying that they don't rent homes and they don't have a trash can in front of it, but we do have a very high percentage who live in apartment complexes and who live in townhouses who would not share in this burden. All of these issues has to be considered. We can't put this burden on 57% of our citizens, and those that are not privy to trash pickup left out the equation, and we're trying to be a reserve. I think we're going to have to, and through committee, through whatever means, see how we can touch everybody, and not just those that happen to be there, and that's my concern. A part of your assignment, Mr. Mayor, if you please, and I appreciate you terming it like that. Can you also share with us what would be the difference between having a 2A rating and an A- rating? What percentage were we talking about in percentage of the interest of our funding, and what are you anticipating going out for in regards to needs of the city? Okay.
Yeah, we're at an A, and we're in jeopardy of going down to an A-.
Okay, well, the difference in that amount.
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna have to look at some number. It's a bit of that's gonna be speculation, but I just one level below A- is triple B, which is considered junk bonds in a lot of markets.
Okay.
So we're on a trajectory that's quite dangerous, and I guess my emotional plea beyond the one that I've made for our sanitation workers is to think about the future generations of Shreveport, and if we want to burden them with this going forward, and the fact that they essentially would have a very difficult time borrowing money, and if they did, they would be paying exorbitant amounts in interest rates. So.
No, I mean, I think that's very honorable in that we have to look out for the future. But again, my question is if everybody in Shreveport is laid off and don't have a job, I mean, how again, I'm just using a hypothetical, is that something that we can readily address through the process in which we are going?
And we can, like I said, when we go to council, all those numbers are going to be dependent on sliding scales, or if we bring the overall number down, and if we want to put forth the SWAP program that we exercise with water, if we want to make a more robust SWAP program. I mean, last year, the SWAP program with our water gave out over $200,000 back to citizens who qualified for it. So if we want to make it larger to help out our needier citizens, then I'm okay with it. I just want us to have the conversation.
And the conversation has begun. And I think, Mr. Chairman of the committee, that we would try to have it at a time where we can attract a majority of our citizens. I think James Carson needs to be there because he had a whole tablet of stuff he wanted to introduce. So
I will work with the clerk.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you, council members. I think we all understand.
Okay. Councilman Green?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we removed items 3 and 4.
And I'll second my previous motion.
I'm amending the motion. Do I amend it or just make a motion?
You can make a motion to remove. I think that's what Mr.
Yes. All right.
Nicholson wanted to do.
Yes.
Finna do that now.
We never voted.
We didn't vote on it. Let me say this.
Require a vote.
That will require.
It does. Just real briefly, I just want to say that we understand on both sides, but at the same time, we do have a responsibility, a financial responsibility to the city of Shreveport as well, not just to the citizens that we represent, but we also have a financial responsibility to the citizens, to the city, and that one of those is to keep our reserve funds where they should be. Do I agree with $18? No, not for, I can't just jump out the gate and give that to all of my citizens. My $10 bill is totally different than someone else's $10 bill. That someone else can feed a whole family. And I said that earlier on the radio that someone I know can stretch $18 and feed their family for a week. I've seen it done. Beans, rice, and trust me, we have those. We do that. But we do. I just want to remind everyone up here that we do have a financial responsibility to the city of Shreveport as well. Now I call for the vote, and that's on. We're voting on
removing 3 and 4.
Okay. So, Council Rule Procedure 1.12, withdrawal of legislation. A resolution or ordinance may be ordered withdrawn from the files of the City Council on motion of its sponsor.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Chair Nicholson and second by Councilman Green to remove 3 and 4. Please vote. Thank you, Ms. Bowden. Carries with 7. Now,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that these be introduced.
okay, and second. It's been moved by Councilman Green and second by the chair.
And no vote is necessary.
No vote is necessary.
Under Rule 1.10.
Okay.
Just on the record.
That's right.
All right. Mr. Thompson, proceed with ordinance. You have one more?
We're now in the ordinance on second reading and final passage. Ordinance 79 was postponed until February the 12th. No action is necessary. Ordinance 1 suspends the effects of certain sections of the code, specifically provisions in Chapter 10, Chapter 62, and any applicable provisions of the Shreveport Unified Development Code relative to allowing alcoholic beverages and open containers at bar operations.
Second. It's been moved by Councilman Butcher and second by the chair. Please vote.
Two, suspends the effects of Chapter 50 of the Code of Ordinances, specifically provisions relative to prohibiting the operation of certain motorized vehicles on property located adjacent to the Red River and Mardi Gras parades.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Butcher and second by Councilman Green. If there's no discussion, please vote. Six and one out. Mr. Thompson, is there any legislation to be?
No, sir.
Saturday. We have no property standards appeals, and the council has received an MPC appeal that will be heard on February 12th. That appeal is case number C-5-19. Are there any other appeals, Mr. Thompson?
We have no other appeals.
And the reports from officer boards and committees. All right, I do plan on having a property standards meeting maybe the second, what's the second meeting in February?
14 days after the 12th?
Tuesday, which is
26.
26? That's the Tuesday? Okay. February 26th, probably standing. Okay, Mr. Thompson, is there a clerk's report?
We have none, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any additional communications by the mayor or administration?
No.
Seeing none. Does any council member have any additional communications? I have Councilwoman Fuller and then Councilman Green.
I just want to applaud my student who is shadowing me today since 1 o'clock for making it through this entire meeting. She's a high school senior at Southwood. We had a really good day, and I'm impressed that she didn't leave because I texted her and told her that she could.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Green.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say to all the Saints fans that I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and I feel their pain. We'll all be sitting on the same couch at the Super Bowl.
Councilman
Say
Bradford.
that.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. 1 second, please. Mr. Chairman, the mayor introduced Mr. Eubanks as the Fair Share Coordinator. I would love to get some information on Mr. Eubanks.
Okay.
If you will, share that with the council. I don't, yes, he's up for confirmation from this body. He's an appointment that doesn't require confirmation.
Yeah,
anyway,
he's not a
just-
confirmation position, but we can email you his bio and
I appreciate
resume.
that.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, my passion is for fair share.
Another homework assignment, Council. I got you.
Wow, what a great guy. Mr. Chairman, let me ask you this. Well, listen, I have a letter. Have you seen this letter from Mr. Jones, Hersey Jones? Okay. I'm gonna refer this to the clerk and see how we can address that, if we can. And, I mean, there's no action that needs to be done now, but I want you to become familiar with that, okay? Now, Mayor, I need to ask you a question, and again, nothing personal, it's just, last week, Channel 3, Gary May did get a report. You familiar with the report?
I am. I haven't watched it. I think I've heard enough about it though, so I'm pretty sure I can respond to your question.
Can you enlighten us on? Did he actually said that you have on-duty police officer to pick you up and to accomplish you where you go?
Yeah. So that's false, completely false. I drive my own car to work. It's parked in our garage now. I always have. I doubt any of our officers that have helped me out even know where I live. And in addition to that, I'll say I've had the most officers I've had around me at a time was at the inauguration, and that's because this is the selfie generation, and people literally like pull on me and push push my niece aside and a bunch of other things, and we'll just take a picture in front of me. So that's the only thing, just to kind of do some crowd control when I'm in big audiences. So no, a lot of the things put forth, it's complete. They don't travel with me either. I heard a rumor that they went to the Saints game with me. It's not true. Nobody even knows me outside of Shreveport, so no need to have protection outside of Shreveport. So yeah, that's
$1,000 suits.
Yeah, $1,000 suits is again
And the
false.
bulletproof
So,
Home
no.
D. You got a
No,
bulletproof
I thought they
Home
was.
D.
I thought they was.
4 suits apiece at $1,000.
Yeah,
But I thought there was,
yeah, Armani suits. No, you can talk to the officers themselves about that. So no, it was a bunch of false stuff. I'm hoping Channel 3 will start focusing on the issue soon. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that because that really concerned me. I thought you was running around the city, running around here scared. You're not scared, are you?
No. I'm not scared of my own city. Remember, I walked these streets by myself, so I'm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to know what changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no change.
And Mayor, I need to speak with. No, I would rather have a meeting with you and the fire chief.
Mm-hmm.
I have some concerns. I've gotten some reports of some issues that need to be addressed. Before
You
I
said
bring
the
it to
fire
the
chief?
council, the
Council?
fire chief.
Okay.
If you set that up,
Okay.
I want you to be there. Before I bring this to the council, I need to get clarification on if these rumors are accurate. Okay. And I'm available next week.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it, Councilman Bradford?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Councilman Bucci.
Just real quick, tonight, Johnny's Pizza, 20% of their proceeds are going to Officer Payne's family.
Yep.
My family's leaving here to go there, so.
So you're inviting us all to come, you gonna pay for it?
Sure.
Me and Simon Mears gonna be there.
That and a beer, no, anyway.
Something else. I did want to speak to, let Miss Anderson, Miss Lauren Anderson, that's correct? At the property standards meeting, we will be addressing some of those concerns or the pictures that you had. So I just want to make sure that you try to attend if you can, so you can hear some of those. If you can't, then I understand, but I did want to speak to you about some of your property standards and the trash that you see, that you had the pictures of.
Okay, I appreciate that. That's on February 11th?
February 26th.
February 26th, that was the address?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I'm sorry if I didn't make it clear earlier, but what I was trying to get at is that the money that we need for trash
No,
disposal could be derived.
right,
from
I got it.
that.
Yeah, I did. All right.
And I have been asked and am pleased to announce that the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association's guest speaker on Thursday, January 24th, is going to be Caddo Parish School Superintendent Lamar Gorey at 6 p.m. in the Broadmoor Presbyterian Gym, and he will address the proposed general election, obligation bond election. So if you have an opportunity and interest, please attend.
Mr. Chair.
January 26th.
Brother Lester Smith, I understand, and you're having a meeting Thursday, Brother Green was telling me?
6 o'clock, Thursday at 6 o'clock, at the Outboard Recreation Center.
Thursday at 6 o'clock.
A community meeting Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Outboard Community Center. I've asked all the city heads to be there to address the issues.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Point of order.
Thank you.
I'm just asking you asking city heads to be there?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm wondering, they come to your office?
Can they come?
No, I'm asking, did that request come through your office?
I am not sure. I don't handle like a majority of my requests. We get I think we've had about 700 requests since we came in office. No, I'm not joking about the number. So I can't tell you if we've saw it or not.
I talked with Mr. Crystal.
Oh, so you did? If he said, I believe, yeah. If he sent it, then we have it.
Give me the names.
Yeah, if she sent it, we have it. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be clear, Mayor, and it has been my policy that any request for department head participation would come through the mayor's office.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I told you I want to make my department heads available.
Can we
All right.
regroup the quorum of this?
We're going to public comments now.
Bonnie Farr. Miss Bonnie Farr. All right. Mr. Henry James? Excuse me.
Pretty glasses.
I need bifocals and I don't have them yet, but I'm going to remedy that soon.
While he's on his way up here, Mr. Kraft, he's the youngest, not me, just so you know.
Who would believe that, Ms. Fuller?
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Hershey Jones, Jr. I reside at 461 Kemper Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106 in the Cedar Grove area. I'm here in regard to the letter I sent to Councilman Bradford. I'd like to expound on some things that's not in the letter. Does everyone have a copy of the letter?
I referred it to the clerk.
Mayor, do you have a copy?
We got it.
Did you email it to me, Councilman Bradford?
No, I just gave it to him.
I just got it.
Oh, I don't have it. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, the letter regards an experience I had with a piece of property that I'm in the process of buying. I routinely refer to it as the Pete Harris property at the corner of Milam and Hope. The history of the property is kind of crazy, and I'll rush through it because of the light of time. There are 6 tracts there total. The buyer I'm working with bought it all as one transaction. After he bought it, the tax assessor's office continued to assess 4 of the tracts in the prior owner's name. The tax assessor's office never assessed the owner of the property. The city of Shreveport, after that, taxes weren't paid, put the property up for tax sale. 4 or 5 years later, after it went up for tax sales, the owner found out that his property had been sold and the redemption period had passed. He and I engaged in the transaction, and so I bought all of his rights. We thought it would be a no-brainer. You know, I said, hey, you know, I know the law pretty well. I can do the research on this. I think this is illegal. We did the research. U.S. Supreme Court says it's illegal. Louisiana Supreme Court says it's illegal. We come to the city 7 months ago to say, let's unwind it. About 8, 9 months ago, Civic Source contacted the owner and says, hey, you can have your property back, but you got to pay all these fees. So basically, the fees have doubled and tripled. We come to the city council or the city attorney and the Malcolm Statlander to say, hey, I got this case. And oh, by the way, the case is against the city of Shreveport. Basically, the same transaction said if the owner did not get initial notice, he's never been assessed his property, there is no factual dispute about that, that is illegal, that transaction is void, every other one is void. We go to the tax assessor's office. You got a letter attached on the back, second page, third sentence from the bottom. He says, therefore, J3 Investments was not assessed with these properties on the 2007 or 2008 road. That's not in dispute.
Sir, thank you so much.
Mr. Let me ask, Mr. Jones, and we have to abide by the rules of the council, but let me ask you, what do you feel, and I didn't read the letter, what do you feel this council could do to help remedy this situation?
Well, first off, let me just clarify, we're not asking the council to fight our legal battles. We're going to court, and we're going to do that, and we're going to use 1983, and we're going to get penalties and damages. That's not what we're here for. We're here because of the tax policy. This is sickening, that an owner can lose property, never has been assessed, the city knows that's the history of it, and then we go to the city and they say, hey, we're going to put this up for public sale. We try to get them to stop it. That's what the letter is about. They represent to us that, yeah, we've kind of stopped it. And then suddenly, at the last minute, last week, they say, yeah, we sold it, but we sold it a different transaction than what we told you we were going to sell it for.
Let me refer this to the attorney. Ms. Strain, can you review this, and can you offer through me and then Mr. Jones a response or opinion on what happened, and can we avoid this in the future?
Yes, sir. I can go ahead and offer to council at this time that I am familiar with this on just a top level, not in depth. Civic Source is our agent for these types of sales, and they researched, or they conveyed to the property division section of engineering that they researched all of the items that Mr. Jones has brought to their attention, and it was the attorneys for Civic Source that felt confident that we could go ahead with the sale.
Let me just tell you why I'm here. That's why we're here. We went to Civic Source. We came to the city to get an opinion from the city attorney's office. We started that process in June. December 11th, I talked to
Sir, thank you so much for your comments, and I'm doing my best as vice chairman to consistently enforce our time limits.
Sure.
But after the meeting, if you want to meet with Mr. Strain and I, we'll be happy to meet with you.
Well, all we asked is for is a legal opinion from the city
Well,
to avoid legal costs in the litigation. That's what we're asking.
Well, I think she gave an opinion, but we'll meet. Stay out there for just a minute, okay?
Sure. Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And
Ms. Strand, can you give that opinion? I didn't know. I thought that you can.
I won't render a legal opinion
okay.
today on the podium, no.
Okay.
But
I just wanted to be clear with Mr. Jones. We're on the same page. Okay.
But I would be happy to meet with Mr. Jones again and take down his information.
Okay. Thank you.
finally, Mr. Sammy Mears.
Excuse me,
I've already submitted my document. So you need to check that. Me too.
Keep on
You need
going.
to check that.
Keep on going.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, apartment M110, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. I wanted so much this past Saturday to go to the funeral at Summer Grove Baptist Church and for the graveside services at Forest Park West Cemetery, but because I could not get any transportation since I called several people, I couldn't go. I wanted so much to. The thing is that First Baptist Church of Shreveport and Springs of Grace Baptist Church and other churches I know will be praying for the Shreveport Police Department and the family in the loss of Shatiri Payne, who we really did love. I do hope that Travion Anderson, Lawrence Peer, and Glenn Frierson are very proud and happy with themselves for what they've done. They took away a very innocent life, and they have made everyone not only upset, but furious. So what I want to know is, what are they going to do next? I have the answer. They won't, since they're in jail. If you're big enough to break the law, you're big enough to go to jail, as I've understood it many times. We'll miss not only Shatiri Payne, but the two ladies that were killed and shot by Frederick Jackson. Will this violence ever stop? We need to come up with a solution to make this situation stop. And as far as when I saw and heard about the Laverne and Shirley deal, I remember one time when Shirley brought home a canary, Laverne kept on saying, when she was making spaghetti with oregano, she said, I said bring home oregano, she brings home a canary.
Thank you, Mr. Mears. Mr. Chairman, those are all the timely requests we received to speak.
I've submitted a form early. Now, I don't know what kind of KKK mess you're playing, but at the end of the day, that's going to be shut down.
Mr. Lee, what happened? Mr. Lee, what happened was you
That's been
submitted.
submitted early.
Mr. Lee, what happened was, if I can speak, please, you and another submitted 2 forms to speak after the time that was allotted.
What time?
After the time when I spoke and said that all sheets should be turned in right now and
So I
for
need
request to speak.
I need to see the policy that states that. We need to see that policy.
Okay.
Because what you're now telling me is that if you're not here at 3 o'clock.
No, it
then
wasn't
you
3
can't
o'clock.
speak.
No, sir, it was
There are
not 3
two
o'clock.
public comment sections.
It was not 3 o'clock.
There are two public comment sections. There are 2 public comment sections. And this cat here, you're already been disrespectful all day.
That's
So,
Mr.
at
Lee.
the
Let
end
me
of the day,
say,
that's
Mr.
the
Lee,
bottom line.
Mr. Lee,
So I need to see
from today forward, we want to have them in at a timely, in
I need
a
to see
timely,
policy.
in a timely manner. Now, I'm allowing you all, I will, if it agrees with the rest of the council, I would allow you all to speak. If not, then I'm just going along with the council.
Again, I need to see that policy. You have not voted on it.
Mr. Thompson, is there a policy about when these need to be in by? And I agree to, I think y'all need to speak today, but for future.
Today.
For
Today.
future, what is the policy on that?
What is the policy?
That's what I'm asking you.
So you can't just make up policy.
No,
What-
there's
let
a
him
policy.
answer. He's trying to answer.
There's a policy.
I'm about to say what I've got to say. I think the policy is that they're supposed to be before the meeting, but we are looking for that now, and we would suggest that they be allowed to speak, and then we will post the policy on the internet.
And
Do we need a motion to let them speak, or we?
No,
unanimous consent, I think the chairman can call it.
I'm okay with them speaking, but the tone and the disrespect is what I'm not going to allow to happen. I'm not going to allow the disrespect, though, Mr. Lee. That's what I'm saying. I just want, if we have something to say, let's come up and speak and say what we have to say. But I don't want nobody to disrespect anymore.
Yeah, your councilman has already been disrespectful all
now,
day.
we have 3 minutes.
Craig Lee, 1112 Prospect. First and foremost, I've been advocating for sanitation workers since 1997. So this is no new issue. That's the first thing. With their unionization, their better wages, and their equipment. In 2014, I revealed a very disturbing fact that the city of Shreveport, our sanitation department, had been collecting trash in Bossier. Bossier had been pimping the city of Shreveport and our sanitation department for years. They charged $24 an hour, and we were charging them the same price that we charge our citizens in the city of Shreveport. So, Mayor, one of the critical issues that we have in the city of Shreveport is straight up corruption and theft. Under the Hightower administration, over $100 million has been stolen from this city by way of leasing land at our downtown airport for $1 an acre. See, this is why we're in the bind that we're in. And for all of those people who believe that privately held or privately run corporations is a better way, well, guess why our water department, in terms of the water meter reading, is the way that it is. That was under the Hightower administration as well. In 1998, he voted to privatize that particular department, and now all of the so-called better efficiencies have never happened, and we have corruption that runs amok. One last thing I want to say, Councilman Bowman, the city of Shreveport, you say you have a responsibility to the citizens and the city. The city is the citizens, and you all represent those particular entities. So this ain't a court of law. So you don't just tell people time, because at the end of the day, these people got something to say. Now you can sit up with your smirk look and all of that, but at the end of the day, this is about the business of this city, and these people have stuff to say that is way more important than a time limit. So from that standpoint, I yield the balance of my time.
Mr. Carson.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Carson.
No, I think the attorney had Sean in.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. You had asked for the rule for appearances before council. Under the City Council Rules of Procedure 1.11, appearances before the council, under C, any person desiring to address the council at a public hearing, administrative conference, or regular meeting shall so inform the chairman or the clerk of council in writing before the fixed time for the meeting.
We can debate that some other time. I have something very simple to say. All right, so one thing that I've noticed.
Name and address, please, sir.
My name is Joseph Carstensen. I'm from 815 East Washington, 71104. And the thing that I would like to talk about kind of is a very big picture concept. Okay, so not just this discussion, but all of the discussions that happen in this room. What we see is that we have a bunch of politicians approaching an issue that has already become a problem. And the factors which led to those issues becoming problems are technical issues, not political issues, So when we talk about efficiency and transparency, what we're really doing is mentioning the big elephant in the room and not listening to them. Okay, when we talk about the things that the budget is funding, okay, we're talking effectively about the operational logistics of how each of those departments work. So we can't even have the conversation without seeing what the state of affairs is for not only the department in question, but all the departments. Okay, we have to have, as it is now, an analysis of how things work now before we can talk about how to get to what we want to be or what we want the situation to be when we're done. Okay, that's my first point. My second point, I can't keep up with 3 points, I need a notebook. So this isn't the only department that is in bad shape and is in need of an overhaul. Can we levy a new tax to save each department? Are we going to do that one by one? Or are we going to look at the greater issue that solving problems reductionistically causes problems that we aren't looking at? So what we're really doing is robbing Peter to pay Paul in the context of policy creation. What we need, the public needs, and what you need is to be able to see the problem with a high degree of technical clarity, administrative clarity, in one big picture. Because then and only then can we have a conversation which can produce quality policy. If we don't do that, and what we're talking about, this information is free and readily available. Okay, if we refrain from using that information, what we're doing is we're robbing the public of our ability to think it through and to have a well thought out, proper, earnest discussion and policy. So I think that would be a very foolish way to handle the conversation in general. Hey, I'm not out of time already. But I think that that's something that we saw a lot with the last administration that we don't like. We talk about transparency. Well, I think that the way that that should be understood is that all of the information that the city has needs to be processed into an easily understandable format so that everyone in the city can understand it. And you got to understand this isn't a city full of policy analysts. Okay, we need it dumbed down to us basic.
Isn't that, Mr. Carson, what we just voted on by giving Mr. Hanson the position?
No.
That's what he's going to be doing.
That
Smart.
is a vague description of what he's talking about. But what I'm talking about, for example, where you give the money to the people at McDonald's, it's not hard to figure that out because McDonald's wants you to know how to give them money. Okay, so what we need is the information that we need as the voting public who's considering the kind of ideas that y'all are going to be voting on. What we need is a full, clear picture of what's going on, and you know that work is cumulative. We don't just need that for this decision. We need that for every subsequent decision forever. Okay, the fact that we haven't had it up until this point is a huge problem. Is probably a reason we're sitting here chasing our tails around simple technical issues like what we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Fuller, were you?
Mr. Carstensen, come back to the podium, please. Would you be opposed to, if we come up with a sliding scale that is reasonable and is not too burdensome to the majority of the people that we've already addressed are within certain needy circumstances, and we sunset that over like a year or 2 years, and during that time we looked holistically at all of our systems, and then would you be interested in looking at us like a committee that helps us to create a people's budget or a people's policy?
For the most part, definitely yes. I don't think that there should be any contingencies associated with that. Like Mr. Bradford brought up, you know, the issue about the number of citizens who live in townhomes and apartments and stuff like these are very serious technical questions with regard to that policy. Okay, so
you're saying we need to keep this first part as simple as we can? I'm
saying that we need to stop everything we're doing, get that clarity, and then start moving forward, because if we don't, we're literally wasting our time.
All right, but time is of the essence, so I guess we better move fast.
Well, time is of the essence, and I've heard this council say time is of the essence a bunch of times before. So you know what? When time is of the essence was a hard decision that I need to make, guess what I do? Figure out all the facts, think about it as logically as possible, and then proceed in that way in whatever way that I can. I don't cut corners because because time is of the essence.
I know.
So a quick bad solution is not as good as a slightly late good solution.
But back to my second thing, you would be interested in participating in something like people's policy, people's budget?
Absolutely, I would love that. My tail would wag.
Thank you, Mr. Carstensen.
Councilman Nichols.
Mr. Chairman, the public's opportunity to address the City Council is critically important, and I recognize that. I want to make clear for the record, in light of a comment made a few moments ago that was directed at me, that the Council's rules require requests to speak to be submitted before the meeting begins. The Clerk of Council confirmed to me that that rule was posted outside the Council chambers. The Council's rules further indicate that a member of the public may speak for 3 minutes unless that time is extended on motion of a member. I intend to apply that rule consistently and fairly to all people who come before the council, regardless of who they are. Thank you.
All right. If there's no one else to speak.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. Then this meeting is adjourned.
James.
Before we start anything,